some bullshit.
This is some bullshit, but this is also Encounter Roleplay. It is Friday the 13th, and we are playing our exclusive horror TTRPG, The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, which is run by our beloved Game Master, Jonathan Fry. Hey,
hello, happy the Friday 13th, Charlie. I'm doing good today. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm doing great today. I think I knew in the back of my head that we would have a Friday the 13th episode. Then the tweet went out earlier this week about wanting to crowdsource ideas for it, which I loved. So if you contributed to that at all, thank you. There's some excellent suggestions. And yeah, I'm excited to play. I think for many reasons, the world can be a scary place, and we're here to sort of reclaim our fears, explore what keeps us up at night, what stares at us from the shadows, and to tell a story with our friends. So I'm really happy to be here with everybody.
And one of our beloved friends is, of course, Ray. How are you doing, friend?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I'm really excited to play. I've been looking forward to the game all week, especially being Friday the 13th. I'm expecting some extra spooks. All the spooks. But yeah, hey, I'm Ray. I'm with a brick on the interwebs, and yeah, I play Staley. She's doing okay now, I guess, working through things as well as she possibly can. So we'll see how that continues to unfold, I guess.
For sure. And people not afraid of what's about to unfold. That would be Josh, right?
Yeah, of course, that tracks. Absolutely. That's why I got a head start on Friday the 13th last week by leaving my character cowering, crying, drunk in a loft with a shotgun. Because you know what? That's what playing games with Don does. It's not the setting. It's not anything else. It's just Don's mind slowly driving me insane. And as I climb higher and higher into the house and scareder and drunker, Jacob, my character, who I'll be playing today, is going to lose his mind as he falls deeper and deeper into this insane setting, which I'm really enjoying. Bring it on. What could possibly go wrong? Hey, Charlie, what could go wrong?
Nothing could go wrong. We will not have those famous last words uttered here, like an episode of Scooby-Doo, in which everything then goes wrong, including currently Fantasy Grounds, which is down because Will's net is out. Let's not talk about that. Let's go and talk about the wonderful Lydia, whose net is working this week.
Yes, I'm back. I was unexpectedly out last week because everything stopped working at one time. It was great. I'm happy to be back. I heard a little bit about what happened last week, and I can say that I'm like not that sad that I missed it, but I heard it was awful. I'm happy to be here. What else was I supposed to say? I'm so bad at these.
That you can be found at the wonderful @Lydia Hills on Twitter for all of your large dog photographic needs.
Yeah, I held a baby bunny today. If you want to go and look at those pictures, I'm still happy about it hours later.
Can that be the stream instead?
It was so hard to not bring him home.
I'm not sure how to segue from that to the wonderful Tommy, but Tommy, I am delighted that you are in our home of Seawall Orphanage here on Fridays.
Oh, yes. Friday the 13th is going to be interesting. Yes, I'm Tommy. I am at Imperative Pengu on the Twitter sphere. I play our absolutely charming and responsible Jay Hopkins in this game. There's absolutely nothing wrong or scary about him. Just don't worry about it. Everything is under control.
And the person who has it all under control, kind of, there are machinations there at least. It's Travis, who plays Merrill.
Present Charlie, how I love you, and I hope someday that she loves me. Hi, I'm producer Trav. I produce WebDM. You should watch it. It's fun. I'm playing Merrill Gross, heir to the grocery store chain Fortune, who 2 shows ago confronted a home intruder with the face of his dead father and shot at him and shot Jay in the leg. And after accompanying him to the hospital, he had some sort of psychotic break, lost in the crumbling ruins of the mental ward. So we're having a fun Friday the 13th. It's the feel-good movie of the year. Lock in and pop the popcorn, boys and girls. I'm ready to do this.
And with us all ready to do this, I want to hand over very briefly to Past Charlie to tell you about our wonderful sponsors here on Encounter Roleplay that make these shows possible. Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com. You're not crying if it's in the shower, all right? It's just water on your face. It's not a thing. You're all right, Lydia. It's okay. So shout out to all of our wonderful sponsors, which includes this season World Anvil, who we are partnered with, and that's where you can find a whole ton of information on Seawall Orphanage, from our rules, our stats, to the world itself, with a beautiful interactive map that I know Don spent a long time hyperlinking to lots of articles and information for you all to enjoy. And World Anvil have just given us an exclusive coupon, Encounter RP, all capitals, no spaces, which will get you 20% off of a 6-month or a 12-month membership subscription. Without any further ado, because I can't think of anything else to stall with, Don.
Pretty Marsh Harbor is just like any other small town in America. It's got Girl Scouts selling tag-alongs and Samoas in the summertime, and Christmas lights strung up along Main Street in wintertime. It's got a history that it's proud of, and a couple of older folks who make sure to pass that history down to the younger generations. It's got nosy neighbors and old family rivalries. It's got this sense that even when things get tough and people are scared, that everyone will pitch in to help each other out. Everyone has each other's backs. Pretty Marsh Harbor knows what it's like to lose. It's lost a lot over the years. It's got a sickness that we don't talk about, a madness, a deep and dark secret that it would do anything to protect. Just like any other small town in America. In our last session, Staley and Jacob escaped an axe-wielding madman, this figure that looked like Old Man McGinty, who murdered the children's caretaker, Miss Toothaker, and devoured her heart in front of Jacob's eyes. The madman chased them through the woods, not even deterred when Jacob set him on fire. But the figure did eventually vanish back into the woods, and the children learned after that it couldn't have been Old Man McGinty. McGinty is in a coma. He's in the local hospital. Jay was taken to that same hospital after being shot in the leg and spent several days recovering just across the hall from where Old Man McGinty was sleeping. The day before Miss Toothaker's funeral and before Jay was set to be released, Gigi went to visit him. She brought him a get well gift. Outside of his room, she ran into Merrill, who had been missing several days, trapped, possibly mad, inside the hospital's abandoned psychiatric ward. When Gigi and Merrill visited Jay, the lights in the hospital flickered, then went out. When they turned back on, Old Man McGinty was standing there in his hospital gown, awake, drooling, with blood on his lips. He reached both of his wrinkled, leathery hands for Gigi's face. And that's where our story begins tonight. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Outside, it's a warm 71 degrees on the island. Here, in the quiet back wing of the hospital, it's much, much colder. Pretty Marsh Harbor has many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, a few of them terrifying. Gigi, what is one truth about the scene?
I think a truth about this scene is in this moment of horror, the bag that Merrill had been scooping monster trailer mix out of splits open and scatters all over the floor and out into the hall, creating a huge amount of sound.
I love that. So, and because this hall is fairly empty, you can hear the sound of that spill echoing down the hall back towards where the rest of the hospital is, where the nurses and the doctors are currently busy with other patients. It's just you here, right outside of the room. The truth I'll add to this is that Old Man McGinty, reaching for your face, stumbles a little bit, falling forward, and as he does, Gigi, his hand grasps onto your hair and pulls downward, and you can feel the sensation of hair being ripped out of the side of your head.
Her hand, I think, instantly goes to his, and that way when someone grabs your hair, you want to just hold your hair to your head. And as he yanks, she just lets out this scream because it's excruciatingly painful and it's taken her by pure surprise. And the other hand kind of goes out, I think, towards his face, kind of groping towards to push him away, to get this person away from her who's hurting her.
You can hear, in response to your scream, just a heartbeat later, a door swinging open. Maybe not this hall, maybe the next hall, you can't tell, but it sounds like somebody coming towards where you are. Go ahead, I guess, and make me a grit roll. Make me a grit check as you're pushing him away.
All right, according to my sheet, I have a whole 2 grit, and I'm very excited about this. It's a good place to start, right?
You just need to roll a 4 or higher here.
I rolled a 5 and a 3. I've grabbed my real dice now.
Perfect. Yeah, if anybody doesn't have real dice, just let me know what number of dice are in your pool, and I can roll it. I have a roll 20 open too.
Fantasy Grounds is back up, but just in case.
Oh, it's back up. Sweet.
Yes.
So you rolled a 5. That means that you get to decide what happens here.
So I think she strikes out with her hand and she gets him in the eye with a finger. And it causes him to react, to pull back and let go of her. And she manages to kind of stumble backwards and away, so there's distance between them, but I think he still kind of has that clump of hair that he's pulled from her head, and as she looks at it, it just reminds her of the worst birthday present she got this year, Jonathan Fry. The doll that Miss Toothaker had made for her, which was slimy and made of hair, and it looks exactly like that.
So he howls as he is pushed away. You strike his eye, and one of his hands goes up to his eye. He's got that large clump of hair, and you can see how much hair it is. It's not like a lock. It's quite a bit of hair that he's ripped out of your head, and you can feel it's almost like a burning sensation where he ripped it from. I would say Merrill and Jay at this point. Jay, you're in the room on your bed. There's like a set of crutches there that you've been using to move around. You've been going through physical therapy for the past few days. There's also a wheelchair there. And Merrill, you're there as well. I'd like to know, how do you react in this moment?
We're looking at 2 crutches. Is there one of those cheap chairs, like visitors' chairs, in the room too?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Merrill has some experience. This is a big dude, right? This McGinty fellow. Big, how big are we talking? Right. Stocky?
So yeah, he looks like, I mean, he's actually like thinned down from probably what he used to be, but he has those sort of old man muscles. He looks like, you know, he's old now, but when he was younger, he looks like he was probably a linebacker, right? So he's still got broad shoulders, he's still got those sinewy muscles, but he's definitely very old, and with that, he's become a little more frail looking. He's wearing a hospital gown right now that's kind of open in the back, and as he's pushed back, you can see it flap open and then fall back shut.
Gotcha. Well, Merrill is, in his short 17 years, is overexperienced with having to defend himself from large, dangerous men who are trying to beat the crap out of him or someone he cares about, namely his father. So he grabs the chair and goes right at him. We're going to pin him to the wall and give Gigi time to back up and get out of there. I'm going to try and get two of the legs up over his shoulders and pin him.
Excellent. Go ahead and roll me a grit as well. And what's Jay doing in this moment at the same time?
Oh, okay. Jay is most likely immediately weighing all of his options here, right? Crazy old man. I don't think anyone's told him about having possibly seen old man McGinty kill Mrs. Toothaker, because none of the people who saw that have come to visit him.
And I think we
no
should
one's really
confirm that. Let's confirm that too. That's a secret that Staley and Jay haven't told anybody except for the fireman who helped them get back to the house, right?
Jacob.
Yeah.
Sorry. Jacob and Staley. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't
that's
have
what-
told anybody.
Okay. So yeah, I think nobody knows except for them and, in theory, the firemen they spoke to.
Don, I got an 18.
Oh, did you roll any 4s or higher?
I rolled 2 6s.
Perfect.
But yeah.
So Jay there.
I think Jay probably sees Merrill going after Mr. McGinty and probably thinks that Merrill's probably the best suited right now between the two of them to actually take on Mr. McGinty. So I think Jay's just going to kind of swing out and like sort of try to grab his crutches and like move up to like pull Gigi back into the room away from Mr. McGinty right now.
Okay. So Jay, go ahead and roll me, let's call it quickness.
All right.
And so Merrill, describe how large, is Merrill a large guy for a kid?
I think he's tallish. I think he's 5'11", just shy of 6 feet, and at this time of his life, thin. Not like very, very thin, but you're 17 and he kind of kid who stays up late, maybe doing some push-ups. So could have run track.
Perfect. And I see a 6 there too for Jay. So Merrill, you get to name one truth, and then we'll have Jay name a truth as well.
I think it's one of those chairs with the low.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
He'll be back in a second, I'm sure. So Jay, why don't you
Mr.
go ahead and
McGinty has gotten to him. I think that whoever that was slamming open that other door, is at this point running down our hallway to figure out what's going on, and definitely sees Merrill fighting this old man. Right? But yeah, sees Merrill fighting Mr. McGinty.
Perfect. And we'll go ahead and we'll continue on here. We'll give Travis a truth when he comes back. But Travis, Merrill pins Mr. McGinty to the wall, and he's sort of struggling, but he looks confused. And I think, Gigi, you're right there. Even as Jay's coming to grab you and try to, get you back into the room, you can see a nurse running down the hall towards you, and you catch old man McGinty's face, and he just looks confused, and you hear him mumble from where he's pinned to the wall by this chair. You won't stop watching me. Everywhere, in the mirror, beneath my bed. When I close my eyes, he's everywhere. And then he howls again. How does Gigi react?
I think to begin with, she's stunned and she just wants to get away, and she feels Jay kind of pulling her into the room, and she's watching Merrill pin this guy, but she's listening and she's processing, and she knows that feeling of someone watching and she doesn't want them to watch. And I think a strange part of her wants to connect, and she just yells, who's watching? I don't understand. Who?
Roll me empathy.
Okay. 4 dice for this. Yeah, I'm empathetic. I'm not that empathetic. That was like 2 2s and a 3. Oh, and a 2. Oh, good. 3 2s and a 3.
So the
No.
truth I'll name, you cry out, you ask who, and at the moment that doctor comes and kind of pushes Merrill away and gets the chair away, old man McGinty collapses forward into the nurse's arms, and she grabs him, and kind of like she's struggling with him for a moment, even though he's old. She's not that large herself, and he just goes limp in her arms. And the truth that I'll add to this is that he doesn't give you an answer. When he goes limp into the nurse's arms, his eyes go glassed over, and you can just see drool falling out of his mouth. And she has to call for help. And a couple of orderlies come running down the hall, one of them towards you, Gigi, and one of them towards old man McGinty and the nurse, to get him situated and back in his room. And in that moment, as those orderlies are running down the hall to check on you, you catch that clump of hair that's in his hands. As his hand goes limp and opens up, it just sort of sifts out of his hand, falls like a feather in the air, and spreads out a little pile on the ground. An orderly comes up to you and immediately is down on one knee, and asks, "Are you all right? Did he hurt you?" Miss?
He pulled my hair.
Let me see that. And he sort of reaches up to look, and he breathes a sigh of relief and nods and says, "It's all right, miss. You're going to be all right. He didn't hurt you. But perhaps you should come in the room and sit down, and we'll have somebody come and check on you. And just get everything settled down. I'm sure he was just upset. McGinty, he's been asleep for a few days. I'm sure he was confused." At this point, you can see the nurse and the orderly.
The man in the room, his thing made the sound, and she's remembering that they just listened to that beeper or the heart rate monitor a flatline, and it's just re-hit her that they basically listened to someone die like a second before. At least that's what she believes happened.
As you remember that, your ears, it's almost like a sound during the moments of panic had gone and then had restarted again, and you can hear it like it's fading into your ears. It's still making that sound, and he kind of smiles up at you reassuringly. You can see that he's got large circles under his eyes. He looks very, very tired. He says, "I'm sure it's just because he broke away from the machine. It's all right. It's all right. Why don't we get you back in the room, and we'll bring you some water and some juice."
I just want to go home. We should all go home.
Well, of course, that's your right if that's what you would like, but he kind of looks over your shoulder to Jay. Is Jay like using the crutches right now? Is that how he did this?
Yeah. Jay kind of like tried to move forward and like tried to like shoulder like move Gigi as he sort of stepped forward, and he's sort of looking. He's trying to look as composed as possible in front of this adult, right? Trying not to look phased at all. I think I'd like to go home. I know that my therapy counselor said I could go home sometime either tonight or tomorrow whenever you release me. If you've got crazy old men in here hurting people, I think I'd like to go home. You might want to strap him down too. He seems dangerous for the other patients.
He kind of looks through the open door into McGinty's room, and you can see that McGinty is completely, his eyes aren't even open now. They've shut. They've got him, like, that beeping stops. They've got him plugged back up to the machines in his room, and the nurse is tending to him. And, you kind of look and you see this. The other orderly slowly closes the door on McGinty's room. And the one who's kneeling in front of Gigi stands up, and he looks you over and he says, "Well, I don't really have the authority to make that decision. Are you sure you don't want to spend one more day here, son?"
I'm not quite so certain of my safety anymore, especially staying across from that old man. If it hadn't been for Merrill, who knows what Mr. McGinty would have done.
Please?
Jay, go ahead and roll me cool. Roll me cool to see if you can convince him. Or whatever truth you want here.
Alright. Oh my god, yeah, that's 2 6s and a 5.
That's good. So you get to name the truth here.
Alright. I think that I mean, at the base, yes, I think that he's convinced to let me go. Trying to think here. What would be? I think that there is enough here to convince him to perhaps at least mention it to someone else that Mr. McGinty should be, strapped down to his bed. I think that there is enough in Jay's sort of composure and resolve here that this orderly is a little shaken, and just like a little worried, right? Because like you don't want incidents happening in your hospital. That's not good, even if this is the small hospital in the middle of nowhere.
All right.
It's still run by someone, and that someone isn't going to be happy that someone was attacked in their hospital by someone staying at their hospital. So I think mostly it's just shaking up the orderly. The orderly is shaken up by this.
Yeah, and it takes him a couple of seconds to process it before he finally says, "Well, I'll go find your doctor, and I'll let him know you want to go, and that there was an incident, and we'll make sure that McGinty is secure, isn't going to hurt anybody. I'm sure he didn't mean it, but of course, we want to make sure everyone here is safe. Please excuse me, and please, if you don't mind, just have a seat in your room, and we'll be back with you shortly."
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
So, Merrill, welcome back. So what happened is, and you still get to name the truth, but basically what happened was you pinned him to the wall, and he began mumbling something about someone watching him, always watching him. And then a nurse and a couple of orderlies came. They took him back to his room. He went limp, and his eyes glazed over. And they took him back to his room and closed the door. then one of the orderlies was speaking with Jay and with Gigi about them wanting to go home, them not wanting to stay here any longer. So that's what's happened immediately. Let us know, like in those few seconds, what's Merrill doing, and then you can go ahead and add a truth to this scene as well.
I just like watch this whole thing play out, quietly seething, ready to have knocked that guy's block off, and trying to stay invisible for a few minutes, let everybody clear out, and then I'll go over to Gigi right away. You're like, "Are you all right?"
He pulled my hair out, and I think it's slowly sinking in that this guy has taken a clump of her hair out.
We really got a hold of you.
I just want to go home.
All right. I want to pull out my flip phone. So, Merrill has like a burner Motorola, and I'm gonna call the car.
Isn't it out of battery? Because you disappeared for 3 days?
Oh my God. I don't know. Don said something. Yeah, he realizes again. Don said something about that earlier. I can't remember if you said that I actually had some more juice on my phone or whether it actually was dead. You did say something.
No, your phone ran out of battery while you were like reaching down to like try to make another call, because you made one call. I think Staley answered and didn't believe what you had to say, and then before you can make another call, your power went out. So you need a recharge.
It's great. So he wants to call the car, pulls the phone out of his breast coat pocket. It's dead. Just like just seethes again. You're like, God damn it. All right. Call a cab. My treat. Anybody got a phone? Something? Just get on out of here. They have cabs on this island, right? They have cabs.
I think it's one. I think we have one cab.
Merrill's never had to call a cab before. It's never been an issue.
Is that your truth?
We'll say with your truth that there's like one cab.
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
The Ace Cab Company, and that's, Jeff and...
Who's the driver?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, who's Jeff?
Because everyone knows the cabbie. Everyone's got to know the cabbie.
I think Merrill has like a tab with the car service, and when he doesn't want the estate to know that he's used the car, he'll take a cab and knows Jeff. So maybe he knows that there's a cab. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say if we've only got this one cab driver on the island, I bet he also acts as like our Uber, but also like Deliveroo or like Just Eat. He's the guy who delivers all the takeout from the like 2 places you can get takeout on the island, and he delivers the food from grocers to like infirm people or people who can't get out of their houses for whatever reason.
In the morning, he's the guy who delivers the mail, and then once he's done his mail route, he just keeps driving around and offers people's rides. It's like super unofficial, super weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Jeff.
Oh, that's my favorite thing about it.
All right, so what do you do? Do you use like say there's a phone in the room that you can use, or?
I think JJ would say there's Gigi, that's my name. Gigi would say there's the payphone in like the reception area that people would use maybe.
Absolutely. So I want to move on from this scene and bring everybody back together. Before the 3 of you leave the hospital, though, if there's anything else you want to do, or if there's any other truth that you want to introduce, Jay?
Jay would like to do one thing as we're sort of heading out. Once Merrill gets back from the phone and has confirmed the cab, I think Jay is sort of like packed up the few things that he had with him here, and then he's sitting in the wheelchair with the crutches sort of across him, and he's gonna look at Merrill. Do you think you could push me to the cab, please? Seeing as I'm, shouldn't be on the leg too much.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I got you.
Thank you. Wouldn't want my leg to get any more injured.
Certainly would not. Here we go. And we're off. Rectangle left.
That's all.
I love it. It's a great power play, Jay. Would anybody
signal.
else like to do anything or introduce any other truths before we move on?
I think as we get to the revolving door, that's the hospital entrance, the lights flicker again, and there's that sinking feeling of like power's not going to be good for like the rest of the day. This isn't just Main Street's pothole. This is, this is big if it's kicking off again. Or maybe Main Street just has a lot of traffic today. Who knows?
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna add a truth to that. So there is a thing in town where when somebody hits the big pothole in Main Street, sometimes it causes power fluctuations throughout the town. And I want to say that as you're leaving, somebody is being pulled in on a stretcher, and it looks like a terrible accident, like maybe a car accident. They're swarmed by nurses and doctors from all sides, and they're pushing people aside to get them back to the ER, and they roll right past you. Merrill, roll me an empathy. Say that they roll right past Merrill, and Merrill, you get with your one eye a good look at their face.
Come on. All right, how does this work? I rolled 1 6, I got a 10.
Cool. Yeah, you just need a 4 or higher, 1 4 or higher. So you get to name a truth here as this injured individual is being rolled past you, and you get a glance at their face.
I think it's really nasty. I think the blanket slips, and I think he sees his dad's face again, and it's looking at him. And I think that all the orderlies at the hospital look somehow similar, eerily similar to one another, and are somehow their features are obscured. And the Merrill's total focus is on seeing his dad staring at him again.
Yeah, it's like everything in the room goes quiet for a moment. The only thing you can hear is the dripping of the man's blood as it's striking the ground, the rolling of the wheels. The other faces blurred out, even Jay and Gigi's for a moment. You're staring at your father's face, stitched at the lips just like the last time you saw him. And then, like a whoosh of wind, you kind of almost you feel faint for a second, and you kind of stand up straight, and everything, all the sound, everything comes back together. The nurses and orderlies and doctors look like themselves. You can't see the man's face anymore, just a hand that's hanging off the side of his cart as they pull it back through into the emergency room. And then you hear a honk outside of the taxi.
Oh, thank Christ. Just unlock Jay and pick up my feet. And just get out of there. Just do the thing where you just passively decide not to register it. And just completely... Merrill's pretty good at saving face and getting through a parking lot without too much chaos. And it's not the first time to move briskly through public without freaking out. So I'm going to go get transferred, help Jay transfer. And then kind of beckon Gigi and say that the Autobots are rolling out.
Perfect. The three of you, will say, are taken home, and what I'd like to do now is I want to do a montage scene with all of the kids. So this is covering the next couple of days. And what happens in the next couple of days is that Jay returns home. Mr. Toothaker, the caretaker of the orphanage, he's a wreck. His sister having been murdered. There are local volunteer police who come and speak with him several times, and he's just barely able to hold a conversation. He's not been cooking dinners consistently. He's been drinking a lot. He's been spending a lot of time in that sitting room that Miss Toothaker, his sister, would spend time in. It's got like plastic covering over all of the furniture. It's the nicest room in the house, but it's kind of each passing day, it's been getting more of a wreck. And what happens in the next couple of days is that all of you deal with your lives and you go to the funeral. And we'll pick it back up after the funeral, but I want to do a montage of any moment that each of you would like to zoom in on in those couple of days. You don't have to play out parts of the funeral. You can if you like. But I want to go around and let's start with Jacob, because last time we saw Jacob, he was in a pretty bad spot. So Josh, what is one truth about the next 2 days for Jacob?
Oh God, like for the next few days, I imagine like they're pretty miserable. He will go back on multiple occasions and find himself obsessively checking to ensure that everything is in the loft. And at some point, he will do things like he will make sure he's got bottles of water and stuff in the loft and supplies, which he will do as discreetly as he can. But again, he's very sort of like cold. He doesn't really talk to people. He's very withdrawn after everything that's happened. He'll have occasional moments of like bursts of anger, probably, but they'll be very fleeting and very quick. And then he just seems to lose interest. But by the end of these couple of days, he's got a couple of bottles of water, some snacks, a change of clothes, a coat, and the gun, which are all in a bag with the gun beside it in the loft. And then just like, yeah, he's sort of kind of prepping to run away. I think that's his idea in his head. He needs to get out of this place.
Does he tell anybody about what he's planning?
I think he gives a couple of baffling looks, probably to Staley.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that he wouldn't explain it. He'd just give her looks, and in his mind, that look translates to, when the time comes, like, be ready. But what that actually comes across as, without any context or anything, because as I say, he's very in his own mind at the moment. So I don't know how she takes that, but I think by the time like we come back after the montage, there's a little doubt that started to creep in as things are becoming less and less clear in his head. It becomes hazier. It becomes less believable. Even though he was there for it, his mind starts to try to rationalize a lot of stuff. So he's in a very weird place, a very quiet, withdrawn place right now, and probably wouldn't be a lot of fun to be around, and probably would have been avoiding people. That's where Jacob is at the moment.
So I want to add one truth to this. Does Jacob shave, or is he smooth-faced?
No, Jacob is not smooth-faced. Jacob started growing at about 12, and it was just like, this is my life now. I'm gonna fucking grow it out like Dave Grohl. Like, it's gonna be amazing. So yeah, he keeps it pretty wild, but it's probably got longer than it usually has over the last little bit. Sort of started to thicken out a little bit.
So after doing one of your last checkups before the funeral, and putting your water and making sure you're all ready to go if you need to go at a moment's notice, you go to trim your beard for the day of the funeral. And the truth I want to add is that while you're washing your hands, Jacob, the water stops coming out of the spout for a second. And then this sort of black goop, almost like a sludge, begins to come out from the spout instead. Very, very slowly in clumps that just kind of splatter against the inside of the bowl.
He takes his hands away very quickly, but is kind of rooted to the spot as he watches this. And probably out loud says, "It's just the water playing up. The water plays up. The water always plays up."
In the little mirror there, Jacob, right above the sink, you can see the door to the bathroom behind you slowly creak open, swing open. Roll me empathy.
How's a 3?
So the truth that I'll add here is that door swings open, and when it does, there's a figure standing behind you, old, flabby, wrinkly skin, long, stringy white hair, all pulled to the side of her face, which has begun to decay. You can see a hole in Miss Toothaker's chest where her heart was removed, and you can't tell if she's smiling at you or grimacing at you, but she's there in the doorway right behind you, and you hear another splat as another chunk of that black ooze comes out of the faucet.
Is there a toilet in here?
There is.
Jacob makes a strange sound. Like he's not even sure what the sound is supposed to be, but it's a mixture of like sheer terror, starting to feel physically sick at the blood, and everything else. I will go to the cistern of the toilet, lift sort of the slab that sits on the top, on top of the tank, and hold it like a cricket bat, ready to, if she comes near me, I'm going to. It's heavy. It's the only thing I can think of that's nearby, and I'm just going to have it at the ready whilst making incoherent, terrified, whimpering sounds.
You can hear as you go to the toilet, run to the toilet, you rip off the heavy top of the tank and prepare to turn around, what sounds like a wet slapping against the cold tile floor of the bathroom. Footstep, sliding, water falling off of the body or something else falling off of the body. And you spin around with that lid in your hand, that very heavy ceramic lid. Roll me, and this is going to be a desperate roll, so you'll need to roll a 5 or above, another empathy check.
Cool, I'm really good at that, Don, so I appreciate you keep asking me to roll my, yep, I'm great at this. I'm the best at this.
So the truth that I'll add when you spin around is that Miss Toothaker, you know now that she's smiling at you because it's wider and wider. You can see what looks like a bug, some sort of insect crawling around inside over her tongue, out of her mouth. As she's getting closer, you can smell her breath right in your face as she reaches out for you. And you try to have the strength to hold up that lid, but you're so terrified in that moment as you realize that she's not just a trick of your imagination, that she's right there and you can feel her and smell her, that you drop the lid and it shatters on the bathroom floor, and she's gone the moment that it shatters.
I would like to throw the spotlight over to Wren because I want to stop talking to you now, Don.
That's perfect. Yeah, I wanted to bring somebody else into this moment. So Wren, let's say that you're upstairs, right, where this bathroom is. You know, maybe in your room or leaving your room, wherever you'd like to be, and you hear that shattering sound from the bathroom. What is Wren doing right now? And I know you missed last week, Lydia, because of your internet. If you want to let us know before we get to this, actually, what's Wren's last couple of days been like? How has she been dealing with the loss of this Toothaker and how crazy everything's been?
Well, Wren's dad died when she was really young. So I think that she's pretty shaken up by Mother Toothaker dying. And I think that she's kind of trying to do all she can to help out around the house for Mr. Toothaker, like bring him tea and like make sure that she's extra tidy and make sure that she like, you know, hangs her towel up and like folds everything and is just trying to be like the perfect little orphan girl at this house to make his life easier. That's probably how I spent the last couple of days. I really didn't want to go to the hospital to CJ because I think she's kind of scared of hospitals. Yeah.
Let's say too then that Mr. Toothaker, he's been really shut off with the other children, the other foster children, but he has kind of opened up a little bit to Wren. She's sort of given him more of her attention, and he's told you over the past couple of days about how they used to have another sister when they were young, about how they used to be a big family and now it's just him. And how Miss Toothaker, you know, she was the one who always took care of him. She was his big sister. He's never been much good at looking after himself. And so I think he's shared some of his inner fears and thoughts with Wren, and he's been less tight-lipped with Wren over the past couple of days. So let's go to the scene here on the second story. Wren, you hear that shattering of ceramic from the bathroom.
Oh, she's in her room with the cat that Gigi got for her birthday. She got that stray cat in a box, right?
His name's Colin, right?
Yeah, Cullen.
Yeah.
Like the vampire. I figure we're all into those novels. So I'm in there playing with Cullen, and I hear that, and I immediately stop and like pick up the cat and like kind of cuddle him close and like very slowly like creep out into the hallway, because the last time that there was a whole lot of noise, I ended up like shut into the office with Gigi trying to like protect me, and everything's been such a mess. And she does not have good instincts, so I think she'll creep into the hallway and like peek out with her eyes closed, and then when she like gets up enough courage, she'll open up and see if there's anything out there, but she's still like really clutching that cat.
So roll me smarts, and we just passed into the second hour, and that means that everyone has -1 to all of their -1 dice to all their pulls when they roll.
Okay, so I did have 4, so now I'll have 3.
Mm-hmm. And you just need a 4 or higher on one of these. Did you open your eyes?
I did really good.
You did. Yeah, you get to name one truth. So Wren opens her eyes. What's something true?
everything in the hallway is still, and there is a light coming on from the bathroom. And she doesn't feel that scared. She expected there to be some great fiasco, people fighting, just some crazy thing that had been going on in the house over the last several days, but it's calm, and so she feels okay. So she'll step out into the hallway and go towards the bathroom where the light is on.
Absolutely. Let's we'll cut back to this here in a moment so we can bring Josh into this as well. Let's move to, oh wait, there he is. We'll go ahead and stick with this. So Josh, how does Wren find Jacob in the restroom?
When Wren comes up, Jacob is on the floor. There's a little bit of blood. He's in a really shitty cubicle that's got it's got dent marks and stuff where the plywood's been punched or people have come up here to stress out. There's stuff scrawled on the walls. It's a really grimy kind of bathroom. And he's up here on the floor barking, just completely barking mad. And there's blood coming from his leg where he's just slumped down, and a shattered piece of porcelain from the system lid has just gouged into his calf. And it's not like a super deep cut, but it's bleeding a lot. It's one of those cuts that just wants to keep bleeding. And he is trying to pull this shard of white, whatever you call it. I've forgotten his name. I'm so stressed. But whatever that material, he's trying to pull this tiny little shard out of his leg. That's it. Out of his leg. But he's his hands are trembling so much. There's tears. He's just big snotty face. Everything. He's traumatized. He's truly messed up.
Not what she was expecting to see. She felt totally calm, and now she regrets everything. She's holding on to that cat, Cullen, and she keeps her calm and sets the cat down, and she's like, Jacob, are you okay?
I think I'm losing it.
Losing what? Blood?
Yeah.
Well, you cut your leg. Does it hurt a lot? Can I help you? Should we go to the hospital? Should I get Mr. Toothaker?
I don't know what to do, Wren. I'm freaking the fuck out. I don't know what to do anymore, okay?
Okay, Jacob, let's just calm down. Here, and I'm gonna put Cullen the cat on Jacob's chest and take Jacob's hand and put it on the cat and make him pet it. Hopefully that'll
Jacob will sort of take the cat. The cat probably picking up on the negative energy is just no, don't give me to this human. And I will embrace the cat with a very tight embrace and
just pet this cat for a minute, Jacob. I think it'll make you feel better. I'm gonna get a washcloth, okay? I'm just gonna stand up for 2 seconds, and I'm gonna get a washcloth and wet it and go and put it over his leg. I don't know what to do with a wound though, so I'm just gonna lay this wet washcloth over it. And do you let's just sit here for a minute, okay? Let's just sit here and you can calm down. Do you have your iPod on you right now? Do you have that? Is it in your pocket?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, yeah. Okay, good. So I'll help him get it out of his pocket, and I'll I think I know what songs he likes. We've lived together long enough. I'll put one on and put his earbuds in for him, and just sit with him until he calms down a little bit and like, you know, he's petting that cat and I'm just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do?
He goes very quiet for a little bit, just listening to the song, sort of like his head just sort of not really in time with the music, just almost like he's nodding to reassure himself, and very distinctly, loud enough certainly to be heard by Wren, but very distinctly speaking to the cat, quietly just says, I thought we were going to be safe in the house.
Wren, roll me empathy.
Okay, so I normally have a 5, so I'll have 4. I got 1 5.
All right. Yeah. So you get to name one final truth about this scene. It could be how it plays out. It could be anything.
Jacob says that, and I go to the towel closet where we keep all the extra towels, and I kind of just cover him up because I think he's cold, but he's probably shaking with fear. So I cover him up and I kind of like tuck towels all around him and make him really comfortable. And I am like, you know, like petting his hair and just being like, please don't freak out. Please stop saying scary things. Eventually I'll ask, Jacob, do you want me to help you get back to your room? We really should have somebody take a look at your leg. It's bleeding a lot. I think it's more than a Band-Aid would need.
Do you know where Staley is?
Oh, I don't. I haven't seen her. I don't want to leave you here alone, though, but I think that maybe you might even need stitches. I don't know.
I'm not alone, Wren. Right. We should, can you help me get up?
Yeah, of course. I imagine that Wren is a whole lot smaller than him. She'll stand up and, like, reach an arm down and, like, put his arm around her and, like, try to hobble him down the hallway to his room.
I'll say the truth that I add here is that Jacob is all of a sudden in a great mental space, but there is something like what Wren has done for him is very comforting to an extent. And we'll say that though his leg is bleeding heavily, it's not like a wound that you would actually need to go to the hospital for. It's like that really narrow cut that just keeps bleeding for a while, and it does stop. It will stop eventually. But Wren, you managed to help Jacob back to his room, leaving the shards of the toilet lid on the floor in the bathroom. I do want to move on here to Staley. So Staley can come into this time, we'll say like before the funeral, or if you want to name a truth or zoom in on a moment that happened before that or after that, you can do that as well, whatever you'd like.
I think up until the funeral, Staley honestly just continues to stay by herself. I think for her, processing the anger that she felt from Jay getting shot to processing the grief that she felt for Miss Toothaker was like really intense for her, and she didn't know who to talk to or what to say, because the only other person that she feels she could talk to about it would be like Wren, because they both have been at the orphanage since they were extremely young and have felt extremely close with Miss Toothaker in some way, even if they may not have liked her. But she didn't feel like it was an appropriate conversation to have with Wren. So I think she would have just kept to herself most of the time until after the funeral to kind of like give herself that debrief and then come back to everybody afterwards and try to be normal again, whatever normal is to her.
So Staley, you're spending like most of your time, would you say, in your bedroom? Like you have your own room, which is not something that all the children have.
Yeah, she would probably spend most of the time in her room, if not like trying to be in the common space of the house, but it feels uncomfortable now because Mr. Toothaker is like not taking care of himself and everybody's just kind of in their own sort of world trying to deal with everything. So she would try to be social, but end up just going back to her room. Like, this isn't worth it. I'll wait until after the funeral's over and try to come back to everybody then.
So we'll say then the morning of the funeral, before Jacob had his incident in the bathroom, Staley, you're in your room and Mr. Toothaker's gone out to the grocery store, to gross grocery. And then maybe some of the kids have gone with him, but it's quiet in the house. You're up there in your room alone like you have been for several days since that night in the woods. And you hear the scratch of a record from a nearby room, and then the playing of an old torch song, a loud song, a love song about a woman who loved a man who did her wrong. It's a song you've heard before. You can hear it through the walls right now.
I think stricken with some sort of deep fear, but also angry, like a lot of anger at the same time, she would probably like storm up from her bed and throw open the door and like look out down the hallway to see if she could discern where the sound was coming from, like if it was from that office or not.
So you do so, you throw open the door, you look down the hallway. It's not coming from the office. You look in the other direction, and the bedroom that Mr. and Miss Toothaker, brother and sister, shared, that's normally locked by many locks. It's the only locked room in the entire house. The door is wide open, and you can see a window on the far side of the room. The window is just cracked a little bit. There's a little bit of sunlight spilling in through the window from outside, and the wind from outside is sort of blowing the curtain in front of the window. Otherwise, the room's pretty dark. It's at the end of the hall, so it's kind of far away, but you can hear that torch song sounds like it's coming from the bedroom. This is a room that I don't think Staley's ever been in, or maybe any of the children have ever been in.
I think not even thinking, she would kind of start to walk in that direction and just say, Mr. Toothaker, are you playing old records again? Are you in there? And then like start to like slowly walk towards the door to see if she could get maybe either more light or more insight on what or if anything is in the room.
There is no answer when you call out. The music continues to play. The song ends as you're walking down the hall, and there's just a moment of quiet. And then it starts up again, the same song with a scratch of the record. Go ahead and roll me smarts. And remember that we're -1 right now to our dice pools.
Okay, so that means I roll 3. Oh, okay.
You got a 6, so you get to name one thing that's true as you continue on.
As Staley approaches the doorway, whatever it was or is, she sees move from one side of the window to the other side of the window. Like right before she gets to the door frame.
Everything else in the room is shadows because the lights are off, so it's just that little streak of sunlight through the window, through that little crack between the two curtains. And as you get to the doorway, you see something dart across the window, covering the light for a moment, something hunched over, low shoulders, moving very, very quickly. You can hear the rat-tat-tat-tat of skittering feet against the floorboards.
Cullen? Is that Kitty? Mr. Toothaker? Is that... It's really not nice to play games. Is somebody in here? And she'll, like, if the door... Is the door propped all the way open, or is it just enough that she can see the sliver of light?
The door is almost all the way open.
Okay, I think she would, like, sort of do the stand back and, like, push the door a little bit before she steps all the way through. But she does push the door open even further to try and see into the room.
The music's louder now as you get right to the door, and you can see just the shadows of two small beds. One of them not made at all, like the sheets and the blankets are hanging off the side of the bed. The other one perfectly made. You see there through the dark what looks like maybe little dolls or little figurines lined up against the pillows of the made bed. A wardrobe and a dresser on the far side of the room. You can hear the music coming from there. And you can see that there's another door within the bedroom. It might be a bathroom door. And that there is a little sliver of light coming out of the bottom, the crack at the bottom of the bathroom door, along with what looks like some steam.
She'll walk into the room and face the other door that she sees with the crack of light and the steam. Does it sound like it's a shower? Like, does she hear like a shower running or anything to produce the steam?
It's really loud because of the music. Maybe if you got right up against the door.
Okay. Yeah, she'll crap. She'll attempt to go stop the record player first. I think she would try to figure out where the record is first before like trying to go near this door. So wherever the record is or wherever she thinks that the music is coming from, she's going to go try and stop it or turn it off.
Absolutely. So you kind of work your way through the dark using like the posts of the bed to kind of feel your way towards the wardrobe and then this little desk where the old record player is blaring its music from. And you're able to take the record off, and with a scratch, the music's gone. You're cast into silence in the room. Go ahead and roll me a smarts check. This is going to be a desperate roll, as you can now hear better within the room.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a 6.
Okay.
All right, so you get to name one truth.
The only truth I want to name is that she does hear a shower running. So at least that inkling of her brain is like, okay, that's where the steam is coming from. That must be who ran from one side to one side. So she's a little bit calmer now. However, she's still going to go up to the door and like knock on the door. And just say, Mr. Toothaker? And then just like kind of nod. She'll knock twice.
You knock twice, and you can hear the squeaking of an old knob as the water turns off, the shower turns off within. And just a heartbeat later, you hear the door downstairs, the front door, slam shut, and you hear a voice calling out throughout the house. It's Mr. Toothaker's voice saying, "All right, children, I'm home. I've got the groceries."
Celie immediately runs out of the room and down towards Mr. Toothaker and yells, "I think somebody's in your bathroom!" Just almost like runs into him, like one of those things where like I'm just trying to get to him super fast. And she's like, "Somebody's in your room. There's somebody in the house. We have to go. You have somebody in your room. The door is open. You have to go now." And she's like taking the groceries out of his hand to like, and then like trying to like push him towards up the stairs. So like, there's something you need to go check on right now.
Make me one more check. Let's say this one's cool, and it's a desperate. So you need a 5 or above.
Okay. I just have one.
You get a 5. So you run out of the room, pounding down the stairs. Mr. Toothaker is setting down bags of groceries from Gross's Groceries onto the kitchen table. He sees you come in, and he looks haggard. I mean, he does not look like he's up to going to a funeral today. He looks like he needs you can smell him as you enter the room, and you start pushing him towards the door, up the stairs, towards his bedroom. So we're going to move to resolve this scene. What is one final truth about this scene?
When he gets to the room, the door is it's exactly the same as when I saw. The steam is coming out, the record player is off, and the light is on under the door.
And you can see apprehension in his face as he moves into the bedroom. He kind of just absentmindedly looks over his shoulder towards you as he moves into the room, says, "You know you're not supposed to be in here, Staley. It's against the rules."
I know, but the door was open and it's never open, and I kind of got worried, so I just wanted to check to make sure everything was okay, and I went to knock on the door to make sure that you were in there, and then you came downstairs and opened the door there, so I don't know who's in there, and I'm honestly very afraid of everything going on, so please
All right.
just...
It's all right. And he pushes the bathroom door open and looks in, and you can see now just about half the small bathroom through the open door. And he says, "I'm sorry. I suppose I must have forgotten to turn this light off. There's nobody in here, Staley. Everything's all right. I know you've been through a lot, and we all have, but there's nobody in this room. I just forgot to close the door, that's all. Okay?
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Okay. And she'll start to turn around slowly, like almost like embarrassing. Like, this is, how could she have thought the trick of the light was somebody, like almost like downplaying it to the sense of like it's her own fault that she's freaking out. And she'll slowly start to turn around and like walk out of the room.
Does she look back?
I think as she goes to turn out the door, she would like turn to apologize again and say that she would like turn to apologize and say, "Hey, I'll take care of the groceries. Why don't you take a shower, or like why don't you relax?"
Yeah.
So I don't know if I see anything before I say that, but
yeah. So you're like outside the room, like looking back in?
yeah.
So right as you turn around to say something to him again, you can see the sliver in the window, the billowing, of the curtain, and then the door slams shut right on you.
Okay, then. Okay. And she'll kind of like compose herself and turn around and head back to her room.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on from this scene. Let's go to Merrill. Merrill, after you return from the hospital, what is one thing that is true leading up to or during the funeral?
One thing that is true. Can it be a couple of things? He eavesdrops on the police and Mr. Toothaker's conversations. He gets very familiar with, if he wasn't already completely familiar with, which floorboards creak in the orphanage and how to basically skulk through silently through the place. There's always coffee on, but he tries to stay out of sight and is pleasantly pleased that Jacob has gone somewhere and he's got the room to himself, and Merrill hasn't asked any questions or looked for Jacob. He's not getting much sleep, and he's having nightmares about his father, and one truth is that I wait for Gigi and Wren to both be out of their room, and since apparently none of these doors lock, sneaks into their room, gets into the shoebox, and gets some cash. Spent a lot of cash paying for Jay's broken leg, or excuse me, not broken. Put it as a hole in it. Somebody shot him. Not sure what happened. Some sort of armed assailant shot him, and that's what happened. Sad, really. And so he needed some money, and so he gets he pulls a gross T-shirt out of the shoebox, and amongst other things in there, he gets $3 or $4 grand in cash and puts the rest back, and is careful to put everything back just the way he found it and get out of there if he can.
So, listening in on the police's conversations as they come to visit the house over the next, day or so after the hospital, I would say that it's evident to Merrill that they have no idea who could have done this, but that it's the most grisly murder that there's been in town for 13 years is what they say. And that they don't have any leads, that they've sent some of the evidence that they've gathered offshore back to the mainland, hopefully to be processed, but they're really not, it's almost like they're complaining to Mr. Toothaker about not being not being equipped to solve this case on their own. And rather than attack them, as a lot of loved ones might do when they have a loved one who's murdered, Mr. Toothaker is very, very mild. He's very, very quiet. They ask him questions about her behavior that night, or if maybe she'd had an argument in town with anybody, any reason that someone would want to hurt her specifically, if she attended the local church. And his answer to all of those questions is no. She hasn't considered herself a woman of God her entire life. And no, not many people in town knew her. And she's kind of been a recluse for many, many years. And she didn't have any enemies. I think it would come up that Mr. Toothaker was worried that maybe she was suffering from early signs of dementia, and sometimes she might go missing, but he has no idea of who would hurt her. And I think Merrill would probably gain that information as he's, listening in through creaky floorboards. We'll say too that you're able to grab.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No. What were you gonna ask?
He's listening carefully to try and suss out whether the police think that this assailant who murdered Mrs. Toothaker also shot Jay.
So, and this is
pretty
his
clear
lie.
what happened.
This is his lie that he kind of set up. Okay, roll me cool. And -1 dice because of the hour.
All right, here we go. Well, he only ever young Merrill does not have a lot of cool. To begin with. Got a 4.
That's enough. You just needed a 4 for a regular roll. So you get to name one truth about what happens in terms of how the police respond to the situation.
The truth is that he didn't have to do it because they were kind of maybe already thinking it. But he absolutely is like in the middle of one of their interviews, like goes for coffee and it's like, crazy that this guy also shot Jay in our kitchen. I don't know if he picked up footprints or anything. I thought I saw his parka laying around here somewhere. I don't know if y'all were able to recover that, but took a swing at me. But, I evaded him. And then he shot Jay and must have taken... And he just offers this without any of them asking about it. Just starts talking. With a coffee cup in his hand. It was like shot Jay and ran off. It's the damnedest thing.
But
I'm sure you guys
see you'd see these two volunteer police officers both kind of turn to you at the same time with a dumb look on their faces, and one of them says, "Did you manage to get a good look at them? What they look like?"
It's possible that Jay got a better look at him than I did. He looked like an older gentleman. Early 50s.
Early 50s.
Gray eyebrows. Kind of, didn't look like he'd eaten in a while. Big guy.
What was your name there, son?
My name is Merrill Gross. That's Grosse.
And you see a flicker of recognition in his eyes. They kind of look to each other, and he looks back to you and he says, "I know that you have the funeral coming up. Would you mind if maybe you came down to our office and we could have a longer conversation, maybe the morning after the funeral? Bring Jay with you if you'd like. Anything you know, any information you can give us. I'd like you to sit down with somebody who is good at drawing out suspects, and maybe we can put a face to them and we can figure out what's going on here."
Well, it's complicated. They recently closed an investigation. I probably have to communicate with my lawyer and let him know that you're wanting to interview with me and ask some questions. He may want to be present, so I'm just going to make a couple of phone calls, make sure that that's something that I can participate in, given the circumstance with the Gross estate. So I will do my best to get in and get you some more information. Like I said, I think maybe Jay got a better look at him than I did. The light, something, it's dark, lights weren't on in the kitchen, but you got the parka. Maybe you guys, you can take it down to the lab there, right? Run some tests on the parka,
We already, already sent it off to evidence, but it might be a couple of weeks. Of course, I understand, and he looks kind of surprised that you mentioned wanting a lawyer because, again, you're a teenager. He says, "Of course, if you need a lawyer, that's fine. Go ahead and make your calls, and we'll do this the right way, and we'll see if we can help you all out, and maybe you can help us prevent this from happening again."
Absolutely. Well, it's terrifying, sneaking into someplace full of children like this. And I support my local police, and I'm happy to help in any way I can. It's just it's different for me. You understand? All right. Listen, y'all have a great day. It's been a pleasure meeting both of you. And goodness gracious, got to get moving. And leaves the room.
Perfect. Yeah, so I want to move on here and keep things rolling. But we'll say that you were able to successfully, convince them that there is information that they don't have, that maybe you and Jay have, especially Jay now, they think, and that at
Right.
least they have reason to believe that the person who shot Jay is the same person who murdered Miss Toothaker.
And that's
So,
excellent because just so the people know, Merrill's parents were murdered 6 months ago on their yacht in the middle of the night, and he has gone through extensive questioning with law enforcement, and it all kind of blew over about 8 or 10 weeks ago because Merrill had an alibi. So that's hence the attitude towards cops being in the house and just Merrill sort of knowing how to handle it.
Perfect. And I'll say we've had a couple of things come in this session. We've already gotten to see one of the Banes come into play versus Jacob, but it looks like Jacob, before the end of the night, you might have another one coming. As well as thank you very much for your donations and for your support of the show, everybody. You have a comforting thing coming in too, so we'll figure that out here in a little bit. In the meantime, let's move on to Gigi. So Gigi, what is one thing that is true regarding Gigi and her time at the orphanage before or during the funeral?
So it's the night before the funeral, and Gigi's managed to convince everyone to come down for family dinner. Although everyone's kind of in their own thing. And I think as she's giving everyone their plate, she individually tells each of them that tomorrow after the funeral, we're going to the Crooked Tree. And she kind of has that, don't argue with me, this is what we're doing tomorrow. But she's keeping it very quiet, and she's doing it in such a way so that Mr. Toothaker can't hear. Although he is obviously distracted probably in his normal way.
I think he was pretty drunk at dinner, and after dinner, he goes into the sitting room, sits down on one of the plastic-covered couches, and every once in a while you'll hear a sound, maybe a mumble or maybe a sob or maybe just a quiet song that he's humming from that room. But you do all have this moment, we'll say, in the dining room after dinner. Would anybody not be at dinner the night before the funeral? Would everybody raise your hand if you would not be there?
I'll go. Look, you go.
So Gigi pitches this idea that after the funeral, you all are going to, where was it, Gigi?
The Crooked Tree. The hideout in the woods. I think that's what it's called. Something like that.
All right. And everybody's here in this scene. So let's just play out this moment for a moment here. This is Gigi's pitch to everybody after dinner, and she kind of keeps it quiet while Mr. Toothaker's in the other room.
Staley will look over and just like give like a nod and like look over to everybody else to make sure everybody else is like visually nodding and going, because she also thinks this is extremely important.
Jacob stays entirely quiet, doesn't actually reply or give any indication that he's heard.
Staley will nudge his leg with her foot across the table.
He winces slightly as like the cut on his leg, and that he hasn't told anyone other than Wren about. And sort of looks about and, I don't want to go in the woods.
Well,
Where else can we go?
The Lighthouse.
does that work?
And Gigi kind of glances to everyone else.
I second the Lighthouse. I think in my current condition, getting to the tree might be a bit difficult.
Fair.
We got any hooch?
Wren.
You can come if you bring some.
Steely just gives Merrill the dirtiest look and then just continues on trying to move on and just be like, Wren, are you going?
Well, yeah, if everyone else goes.
Okay.
I'm gonna be here by myself.
Cool. And we all go.
And everyone's going to the funeral tomorrow, right?
Of course we are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Good.
I did the laundry, so you should all have clean stuff to wear.
Thanks, Gigi.
Thank you, Gigi.
Thanks.
Glad to see someone else taking care of things around here.
Do my own laundry. That's all right. Gigi and I have that worked out. I got it. I'm good. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, all of Merrill's laundry comes in dry clean bags.
Yeah. I have a service.
All right, let's go ahead because I want to do this lighthouse thing. But first I want to I want Jay to go ahead and do a truth and to introduce a truth about the time after he gets home from the hospital up through the funeral.
I was actually thinking, I'd like to do the funeral. Just for a moment, really. We don't need to go in depth, but I don't think there's that many people there. I think it's maybe Mr. Toothaker, the 6 of us. I'm guessing probably, I don't know, since he said that Mrs. Toothaker wasn't a very godly, like a believer in God, that the priest, I don't think the priest would be there, would they? We're burying him well, he'd have to be there, because would we bury her at the cemetery behind the place that she was murdered? Is the question.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the cemetery and the church, right? Because this is a location that we've been to once, but we've only explored part of. So back behind the Our Lady Star of the Sea church, this old wooden rickety church, the only one on the island, is an old cemetery. We can look here. The cemetery that most people are buried in, or at least used to be buried in, is here on the island, back behind the church. Now, more recently, when somebody dies, because there's not a lot of room here in this cemetery, they're actually taken offshore and buried on the mainland. A lot of times their funerals will be in Bangor, Maine. But because the Toothaker family is one of the 3 founding families of Pretty Marsh Harbor, it's sort of a custom that they're all buried in their own personal family section of the graveyard. The Grosses and the Duprees actually have like old catacombs and crypts from back when there were a lot more of them. The Toothakers were the least influential family of the original founders. They don't really have a crypt, but they do have an old section of the graveyard that's theirs. So even though she wasn't religious and most people aren't buried on the island, I think maybe she is. And so your truth is that not many people attend the funeral. Who all does attend besides the children and Mr. Toothaker? Anybody else at all?
I almost want to say that there's... Oh, man. I think there's one other... I want to say there's one other person.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
That Gigi's dad shows up, but he shows up late. Because that's DB for you. he has a very good excuse for it, but he like shows up late.
What does Gigi's dad look like?
So Gigi's dad is the kind of the all-American guy, tall, broad-shouldered, but he's had like the drop off the peak curve, so he's kind of slowly developing his own little dad belly. He's not clean shaven. His hair could do with a cut. It's just slightly too long, and I imagine as he gets out of his car or wherever he's come across the cemetery, he's like wiping something off his shirt where he's accidentally spilled something on the way here, coffee or a snack or something. So he's like a really good looking guy, but by way of a dumpster fire.
I love that. Yeah, so we'll say that in Tommy, would anybody else be there? Is there anybody else you want to have positioned?
Do any of the Duprees still live here?
Not on the island.
Not on the island.
They own a lot of the property on the island.
Yeah. And is the ferry working okay at the moment?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we said it's every 4 hours during the summer.
I think that there is from off island. They must have heard of it, like an older generation of a Dupree shows up. Let's call her like Marilyn Dupree.
So
shows up from off island.
From off island. So
Yeah.
Father Silas goes through the motions of greeting everybody and the funeral and the wake, and everything progresses normally, but it's not well attended. And there's a moment as he's giving some, I think what would strike the children as a very generic and lacking of heart speech, the sort of, this is the path of life and life ends, but if we accept Lord Jesus as our Savior, then we will have life eternal. And he's giving that very, very boxed speech, and in the back of this little church, in the back pew, is Marilyn Dupree, dressed in a very simple but elegant black dress with a black veil over her face. She's got a walking cane positioned just to her side that she's holding with both hands, and she is like a statue. She doesn't move, she doesn't react. She's just watching from the back, and it's right near the end of the service when the door swings open, and what was once a dashing man, Gigi's father, enters, kind of wiping some sort of stain off of his flannel shirt that's tucked into a pair of jeans that is kind of wrinkled and looks like it could do with a wash. And he's got that like sort of quarterback hair, right? That all-American boy hair that's just a little bit too long, except for it doesn't look like it was combed today, maybe, so it's sticking up a little bit on the sides and in the back. And he comes in, and I think the priest's eyes, Father Silas's eyes, and Mr. Toothaker's eyes kind of go back to him in the back, and he just sort of gives a very charming, sorry look, and puts up a hand, and then kind of makes himself look a little bit smaller, and he would come over and just kind of plop down next to Gigi and attempt to like just throw a little bit of his arm over her shoulder. How would Gigi react?
I think to start with, like, she's sitting very tense, and she just doesn't react to her dad putting his arm around her, just kind of lets him, but doesn't, like, melt into it or anything. She just sits there, like, staring towards the hole, as she thinks of it.
And it's a closed casket funeral. It has to be, after what was done to Miss Toothaker. And he sort of leans over during the end of the sermon to Gigi and just kind of whispers to Gigi, "Hey kid, I'm sorry I missed your birthday. And, I'm sorry about your friend.
You're
I'm gonna
like,
make it up. I know, I'm sorry. I'll tell you about it later. I've just been really busy. But maybe in a week or something.
you shouldn't be
get together."
talking right now.
Yeah, and I think even though he's whispering, he's loud enough that he's probably caught the attention of a couple of other people, including a sharp look from Father Silas. And he actually stops the servant for a moment. You can hear him clear his throat. And your dad pulls his arm back from over your shoulder and just kind of gives you a pat on the leg and settles back into his seat. Would Gigi say or do anything else?
I think Gigi's gone bright red, knowing that everyone has noticed, and he's done nothing to stop them from noticing. And she's now at the ground and kind of shuffles ever so slightly in her seat, away from him.
When the service ends, and Father Silas, Mr. Toothaker go to take the body to the place in the graveyard, to the Toothaker plot. It's a 4-person job to carry a casket. And you're on a little island off the mainland. There's nobody else here. You have Father Silas and you have Mr. Toothaker. Would anybody else of the children help?
Jay is going to look very expectantly at Merrill and Jacob.
See this? See how I've got my finger on my nose and I did it before anyone else? That means I'm not doing it. And that is legit what Jacob is doing right now. He's just got his finger on his nose as if this exempts him at a funeral.
Jay.
I think there's a moment where it's noticeable that this has not been worked out, and as you're giving that expectant look to Merrill, Jay, there's this sort of cough from Gigi's dad, and he gets up and gives a weak smile around. And
I think she would look at him as if to say no, you sit down, and then she's gonna look at Staley and be like, we're gonna go and do this because apparently no one else is going to. And she's got that look in her eyes of, this is the plan now. Don't argue me. Her classic Gigi look when she walks to the bathroom and someone's in her way.
Yeah, knowing that look, Staley will start to get up when Gigi gets up.
Run with
and walk.
Wren's going as well?
Yeah, Gigi has that look on her face, absolutely.
Merrill doesn't see any of this because if he's anything like me, whenever he goes to a family cemetery, you're standing there doing the head math of who is buried where. And at this point, Merrill has got so carried away that he's facing 90 degrees to the left of the entire thing and just doesn't see any of this going on and is kind of moving his hand because he's counting graves. And this is where the Toothakers are buried. This is where a lot of the Grosses are buried. This is where, everybody is buried going back a long way. So he's kind of sussing all that out.
This is history.
Mentally seeing that everyone else is going up, and then looking at Jay, Jacob is thinking I've got a bum leg, so that kind of gives me the out. And then he realizes that Jay's leg trumps his leg, and it's just quietly swears under his breath, and will very nervously go over to the to help carry.
So the group of you head over to go help, more than what's necessary, but it's not uncommon. I think probably, taking the 4 posts would be the father, Mr. Toothaker and I guess Staley and Gigi. And Gigi, as you get up there and turn around and you're all taking the position to grab the posts of the coffin and lift at the same time, it's a very awkward thing to carry a coffin. You have to move very slowly, and it's a lot heavier than you expect it to be. And as you lift and look up, Gigi, you see the front door of the church close, and a moment before you see your father stepping out and exiting. And he's gone.
And I think she'd managed to kind of keep her cool all through the funeral, just kind of numbly staring, but I think her like jaw just quivers and she sniffs. And she just kind of adjusts the pole and tries to like set herself, but she can't stop her lower lip, and it's just vibrating and it's irritating her, which is only making her more upset. And it's her fault that Miss Toothaker's dead, because she's the one that let her go out the door. Or at least that's what Gigi has now convinced herself of.
And the group of you lead the coffin out to the plot and go to set it down before the final rites are spoken. And you're holding on to all of that, Gigi, each step that you take. Your lip is quivering, and I think probably your arm is quivering too by the time you get there. I need you to make me... And I think our clock just ticked over another hour, so this is going to be -2. -2 to your dice pool. I need you to make me an empathy check.
So I'm gonna roll 2 dice for this. 3 and a 5 done, so 5 is a success.
All right. So as you're setting the body down, what is one final thing that's true about this scene, this moment, the funeral?
I think that it's been a relatively sunny day as one of the last days of summer. And there's one of those sudden showers, and it's like heavy, sharp silver rain. And as they're walking out, they can just see this rainbow coming up. But it arcs, and it looks like it's either beginning or ending at the lighthouse. Like it's arcing in that direction. And everyone is getting soaked, and it's like that freezing rain that's cut in. And it kind of passes after a few minutes.
You can feel it in your bones. You can hear it in the quicker intonation of Father Silas's speech as he's giving the final rites, and he's hurrying through the final rites as you're all getting soaked out of the gravesite. And time passes faster. It becomes hard to remember the end of the funeral even shortly thereafter. After the funeral is ended, Father Silas has a few private words with Mr. Toothaker and then departs. Mr. Toothaker turns to all of you as you're gathered, and the rain stops for a moment, but you can still feel the cold. You can still see that hint of a rainbow off to the north where the lighthouse is. And he just, for a moment, looks dumbfounded, and then he opens his eyes back up and takes a breath and says, "My sister was a good woman. I'm sorry none of you knew her when she was young and bright. We used to take care of that lighthouse up there, my sister and I, for many years. I don't know how we're gonna get through this without her. And I know that I ain't been much of a caretaker of you these past few days. But we're a family. You're brothers and sisters. I might not be a father, but I love you. Just like you were my own. And I thank you all for being there here today and taking care of me. It's gonna get better. But you all have to look out for each other, love each other. Ain't nothing in this world like the love a brother has for a sister. I know death is scary. But we're gonna get through this. Now, I'm gonna go back to the house and I'm gonna cook us up a real good dinner. You kids, take your time. You come home when you're ready. And I promise I'll do better here on out.
Jay will nod. And
Wren is gonna hug him.
He smiles and gives you a squeeze back.
She's also crying a lot.
You're like cut wide, and Merrill's like about 25 feet away, like going. And he's like counting graves, and just I like a surreal small town funeral, and you just cut wide, and Merrill is entirely checked out and facing the perpendicular direction of everybody else.
Everyone can visually see Staley giving him daggers from across the way. She's
Counting dead
so
people.
Annoyed. Yeah, she's so annoyed and not with it.
I love the idea that we cut to Merrill pointed in a different direction, counting graves, and then we pan across to Staley's just like staring daggers at him. Does anybody else want to do anything here before we move on to, let's say, the Lighthouse later?
I think giving kind of almost the signal to everyone else and addressing Mr. Toothaker in a shaky voice, Gigi just promises they'll be back before dark.
That's nice there, Gigi. I promise I'll try not to burn dinner.
I think the only thing would just be a momentary step back. Jacob would have left early this morning before the funeral, and so he didn't have to like bring like a rucksack and stuff to the funeral. He's taken it all to the Lighthouse already, including his guitar case, and it's all like probably under like a winch or something.
All right. He gives Wren one more hug and a little pat on the head, leans over and just plants a kiss on the top of her forehead. And then he heads off on his own. And the rest of you will say at some point in your own time, move to the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is an old decommissioned building. It does turn on almost mysteriously every once in a while, but that's rare. Tours happen there during the day in the summertime, but there are no tours moving through the old Lighthouse right now, and you all move to the shore, the northern shore of the island, say like maybe a couple of 100 yards away from the Lighthouse, and sunset is approaching. It's not sunset yet, but you can see the change of colors rippling over the waves that crash into this rocky shore. There's no sandy beaches here on the island. It's all rocky beaches. And you gather together near the Lighthouse, right by the ocean side. I guess since Gigi, this was your idea that you pitched for them all to meet up afterwards, you can introduce one truth to start us off here. But this is really your scene, the kids' scene with each other.
I think my truth is that Staley and Jacob went almost as soon as they could from the cemetery, and that Gigi left as soon as Wren could kind of see and walk in a straight line and wasn't sobbing. But somehow Gigi and Wren arrived first. That something slowed down Jacob and Staley. And so Gigi and Wren, who I don't think have spent much time at the Lighthouse, beyond maybe a school trip or something like that, kind of end up staring up at this huge, tall tower and then out to sea. And Gigi comments that she can't see the crab today.
I think while we walk there, we're like linked in arms.
Right now, it's just the two of you there. You get there first, and there's something kind of serene. You can't see the rainbow that you thought maybe was leading to the lighthouse anymore, Gigi. It's like by the time you break through the trees of the forest to reach the shoreline of the beach, the rainbow's gone. But there is this beautiful orange and pink just spraying over the sky. You can see a couple of seagulls circle around the lighthouse and splash into the water.
I thought that was nice what Mr. Toothaker said about his sister. It made me sad. I think I am going to miss her.
I'm gonna miss her too.
I don't know anything about my real mom at all. I don't even know her first name.
If you want to find out, maybe we can figure it out.
Maybe when I'm older. My dad always told me that I could figure it out and ask him when I was older, and I don't know if I'm older yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm older yet either. Birdie, I know your mom is not my mom, but we're sisters, you know? And Staley too.
Yeah. You guys are my family.
It's not gonna be okay for a while, but it will get better eventually.
I hope things settle down. I'm a little worried about Jacob.
Me too.
I want to ask him about his leg later. He cut it the other day. It's bleeding a lot, but he got it under control. It's just haven't checked on him.
I didn't know he hurt his leg.
I haven't really told anyone. I know that Jacob likes his privacy, and I get that.
But you told me that Jacob tried to hurt Jay, remember?
Oh, when they were fighting. Yeah.
Was it to do with that?
No. I found him in the bathroom. I heard a loud crash, and I found him in there. He was laying on the floor. The thing on the back of the toilet was broken, and his leg was bleeding, and he wasn't making any sense. He was scaring me. I didn't know what to do, so I put his earbuds in for him, and I put a song on, and I let him pet the cat, and I helped him back to his room. But he wasn't making any sense.
Good. You know what the floor is like there. You know what the floor is like in there. He probably slipped, and hey, he's probably hiding something in the toilet. He's that kind of gross, right?
Yeah, like maybe his cigarettes.
Gigi doesn't believe this, but it seems like a plausible enough story that it might help Wren.
I like it. Who arrives to the shore, let's say around this time? Who can we introduce to this scene? Is anybody else heading there?
I'm gonna be fashionably late.
Okay. What about Jay? Is
I'm
Jay
late
on
because-
his own?
Yeah, is no one helping Jake? I mean, does Jay go with Merrill? Is Merrill acquiring stuff?
Yeah, Merrill's got bags in his room, and he's raided the liquor cabinet before he moved to Seawall. He was able to raid certain parts of the house, and particularly ones that the estate wouldn't care about. So he raided the liquor cabinet, and he's got some options. So Merrill's in his room going through the liquor suitcase.
All right. And what about Jacob and Staley? Are they heading to stop at the house? Are they on their way to the shore? What are they doing?
Staley would see Jacob walking off, trying to be alone, and then end up going after him. And so even though they left first, they'll get there like shortly after, I assume, Wren and Gigi get there. And on the way, like, Staley's gonna kind of catch up to Jacob and kind of bump him on the shoulder and be like, hey, I still exist. It would be nice to talk to you again. It's been like almost a week now, and you haven't said a word to me.
Yeah, I know. It's just been a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to kind of decompress and talk about it, because I'm having a hard time too. I can't lay in bed at night without seeing that face and feeling that fear, and I don't know who else to talk to about it, because you're the only person that was there and believes me. So, I mean, I guess when you're ready to talk, I'm here, but I miss you. And, I mean, I care about you. So if you think you're going to do anything stupid, will you at least tell me before you do it?
Bit late. I had a fight the other day.
A fight? With who?
Mrs. Toothaker.
What? You're kidding. You're kidding. Did we just
She came at me in the bathroom upstairs. You know the upstairs bathroom.
Are you talking about like the same sort of thing that happened with Mr. McGinty?
I don't fucking know. Staley, I don't fucking know. All right, I don't know anymore. I don't know what's going on. I can't explain it, and I thought maybe we'd be fine. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm. But you saw it. You fucking saw him. I thought he was. I don't know what to do anymore. All right, I feel like I'm falling apart. I feel like I'm freaking the fuck out. And I thought I'd be safe in the house, but I'm not safe in the house. I'm not safe in my own head at the moment. And I just need you to tell me that you remember that, okay? That you remember him. That I'm not.
She'll hug him, embrace him very tightly, and whisper in his ear, I remember. You're not crazy. We're not crazy. We remember, and together we can get through this, because if nobody else is in the house is going to protect us, we have to protect one another. Okay? At least we can do that.
I think Merrill shot Jay.
I know Merrill shot Jay. I know it.
I don't even like Jay, all right? Jay's a fucking asshole, but the guy who sleeps in the same fucking room as me has a gun, and I don't feel safe anymore, Staley. And it's not just me. I worry about everyone. I worry about Wren being in the house, and I worry about bringing her with me, because fucking weird shit keeps happening around me, and I didn't know what to tell her the other day, and she was helping me to my feet like she was the fucking adult in the situation, and I couldn't do anything. I felt like I couldn't protect her. I can't protect you. I can't protect my friends. I don't know who to trust. I'm just...
It's okay. Hey, it's okay. It's fine. We're gonna figure it out. We'll take care of Merrill however we need to take care of him, because that needs to get worked out. But no, you're right. I don't feel safe there either. I don't think anyone is safe, especially with him around, especially with him and that gun. I don't know how to solve this. I don't know even what this is. I don't know what's going on either.
I know how to solve that.
How are you going to solve it?
Look, you know Wren, yeah? You'd look after Wren.
Yeah.
We should go, okay? We gotta sort this shit out with Merrill, with Jay, whatever the fuck, why he's lying about shit, because I can't figure out why he would lie to everyone, and I'm sick to death of people not believing what is going on around here. I'm sick to death of that fucking fire guy who wouldn't believe us that we were being attacked. I'm sick to death of everyone pretending like everything's real chill at the moment at the house, and I'm sick to death of listening to Jay lie and Merrill lie about what the fuck happened in the kitchen that night. So I need to know the truth. I need this all out at the Lighthouse, okay? And I need you to know that.
I know, and I'm here, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, but can you promise me that you won't make any rash decisions and try to be as level-headed as possible? I don't want anybody else getting shot, especially you, okay? Can we make like a pact to not get shot or try not to?
Do you feel level-headed anymore? I mean, seriously? Have you felt level-headed at all last week?
I mean, no. No, I don't. But I know that if we unravel, then nobody will believe us at all about anything, regardless if it's true or not. So if I have to stay sane for this, then I'll stay sane and you can unravel, but one of us has to stay sane. Okay?
I imagine at this point, the two of you have gotten to like just the edge of the woods, right? And you've stopped there. You haven't gone onto the shore yet, but you can see the lighthouse there through the tree line. You can see the sun starting to set over the ocean. You can see Wren and Gigi down there a little ways from you, looking like they're having some sort of quiet, maybe tender conversation. It's hard to tell from here. You hear the crashing of the shore and the calling of the seagulls. I want to know, before we move on to the other two children, Jacob, after Staley poses this to you, you're standing there at the edge. How does Jacob react?
He reassures himself that she'll be okay and hugs her. And says we should go.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back at the house, Merrill was gathering supplies for a party or whatever with Jay. So, are you in your room, Merrill? Is that where this is taking place?
Yeah, Merrill gets a little, you know how to make a go bag for a small, party. We got the hooch at the bottom of the bag there. We got some honey buns. We got some snacks, essentials. I got some cups. Rated the plastic coffee cups there. The to-go coffee cups are in the booze bag. And from the coffee hutch at the mansion or whatever, right? And so, yeah. And I also want to be clear that Merrill is not a dick to Jay. Certainly not in any butler capacity, but Merrill's helping Jay out. Guy just got out of the hospital. Guy's shot up. Going to be just a little while before he's on crutches, I imagine. And so Merrill moves to help Jay out to the festivities.
Is there any conversation or anything that's happening beyond just grabbing the goodies first?
I think Jay is chatting or trying, I don't think Jay's really helping move anything just because, I think he's, just he's on crutches or in a wheelchair most of the time. He's not going to be transporting anything. Maybe they take the wheelchair and they can just hide it in, a bag attached to the back of the wheelchair. No one's gonna bother a kid in a wheelchair about anything. And Jay's sort of just sitting there waiting for Merrill, but he's just kind of talking to Merrill. We need to get everyone on the same page in terms of taking care of things around here. We can't have the state getting involved if Mr. Toothaker can't take care of us. I can't afford it. I don't think you can either, right?
Well, no, I don't want to be under state custody. Look, we're going to keep this afloat. Y'all need to... I've been eating SpaghettiOs for, days now. Y'all got to cook your meals. Y'all got to get it in gear. You're gonna be fine. Get some mac and cheese in here. Some Crystal Light.
Exactly. Glad to know you have my back, because we're gonna need to have a chat with everyone else. If we want to keep this. If we want to keep our home here. Everyone seems to have been pretty absent these last couple days.
Sure. Well, we shook our cage a good deal. The old lady, she's gone. But, you heard the guy. He's going to get back up on his feet. This is his income. What, the guy's just going to roll over and we all go to some gulag somewhere? No, it's going to be fine. We'll prop the guy up. Cook our own meals, clean the bathroom. It's the same old thing.
As long as you have my back in this conversation.
All right, we got your back, both literally and figuratively. Here we go. We're going up a hill. Here we go. All right. I like this thing. I can hang the bag right here. Here we go.
Say that you arrive with the party goods just shortly after Staley and Jacob move down to the shore. It's a little closer to sunset now. It's starting to get a little bit darker. And Wren, you can see the others approaching the little rocky shore there. And I think Merrill with some bags. And you all come together.
Yeah, we make our way up there. I like wheel Jay up, like, are we up in the lighthouse or are we like kind of down? How is this gonna, where are we in reality in the lighthouse?
So the lighthouse, think of it being off to your left a couple 100 yards.
Oh, right. And we're hanging out in just on
you're hanging
shore.
out right on it's like just rocks, right? There's no beach here, it's just rocks.
All right, so you got to keep it low key.
But there's nobody in the lighthouse positioned.
All right, good. Yeah, but we're kind of out in the open. We're going to start pouring some drinks here. So Merrill wheels Jay up and breaks the plastic on the cups. Starts handing cups. All right, here we go, everybody. Pass these out. Hey, round we go. Everybody's here. Gang's all here. Listen, I want to welcome everybody to happy hour at the Lighthouse Bar and Grill. I will be your MC this evening. All right, go ahead and pass that down. Here we go. Now, let me tell you something. This is a 1989 Lagavulin. Passing the good stuff out right now. Here we go. Start coming around. And we're going to pour one out for the old lady here. Here we go. He just starts pouring scotch in everybody's cups who will accept it. And
does anybody not accept the scotch?
Jay doesn't.
I look to Merrill and say, can you? I've got some other drinks and stuff that isn't so fancy.
Yeah, you got the Mad Dog 2020. Well, to each his own. Here we go. You got something?
It's over at the lighthouse. Do you help me carry it across the rocks? I'd ask Jay, but I
was gonna do a toast. All right, hold on. You want the good stuff? You don't like the good stuff? You don't want to? No. All right. Sets his cup down. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna toast the old lady. All right. Nobody run off. Keep that low though. Don't make keep a low profile there. All right. Where are we going?
Yeah.
I lead Merrill over towards the lighthouse where I've got stuff stashed in probably in I imagine maybe there's an electric shed attached to the back of it where some of the controls are or something like that, or maybe there's a portion of the lighthouse that you can get into that's maybe slightly worn away that we've kind of pulled a panel back that's a hideaway, which is where I'd take Trav over to.
I like that. Yeah, and you can hear as you get close to the lighthouse too that all the walls of this old building that has not been well maintained groan constantly with the wind washing off the sea. But you're able to get back to the shed there, to the little back area, the hidden area.
He's taking me to the bat cave.
As this happens, Staley will walk about 10 feet away to go on a different rock, sit down, and light up a cigarette, but try to keep it in a distance where she can see what's going on with Jacob as he leads him away, because she's slightly nervous but doesn't want to go and be that person. So she's going to try and get a panel where she can sit and be a part of the group, but away from Wren and Gigi while she smokes, and also kind of kitty corner and see if she can see what Jacob is doing.
All right.
When we get over, I'll reach in. I've got a bag, many pockets, a big rucksack that's got everything in it, which has a few cigarettes and stuff like that, and I chuck it to Merrill and tell him to root around and find the alcohol, and I'm gonna get my guitar case.
All right, what do you got? What am I looking for?
I very much want to keep him distracted looking for it, and I'm going to take the guitar case, and I'm very, very shakily but very calmly just going to step just so I'm out of sight of the others and take my dad's shotgun out and level it in.
Oh!
You
right.
shot Jay. You fucking asshole.
What?
You shot Jay. I saw the gun. I know it was you.
Saw the gun?
Yeah, I saw the gun. We
I didn't
share a
shoot
room,
the
you
guy.
fucking dick.
Okay. All right. No, I did. I shot Jay. I shot Jay with a 22. All right, look me in the eye. Let me tell you. Guy comes in, yellow parka, walks right by Jay and turns. I came around. Guy had the face of my dead father. Jay was on the other side. Guy was between us. I get mad because I'm looking at my dad. And yeah, I had a gun. I pulled it from the estate. It was my dad's. I pulled it because I wanted to stop this guy. And I don't know. He looked at me and he said, tack, something about tack, tic tac, something. I don't know. It said tack a bunch of times. And then he disappeared and I pulled the trigger right as he did. And it went through Jay's leg.
What do you mean he fucking disappeared? What the fuck are you talking about?
Guy disappeared. And let me tell you something. That's why they found a yellow parka. You should stick around when the cops come by. But you might learn something. That's right.
I was a little busy being chased by a guy with a fucking axe when the cops are around. But let's not go into that because I'm trying to deal with one person who's tried to fucking kill someone in the house today. Okay, that's my one a day. I can deal with one of you psychotic fucks per day, and today it's you. Okay, so why shouldn't I just shoot you right here, right now? Because if you think I'm gonna let you walk back into the house where Wren sleeps, where Jay sleeps, where Staley sleeps with a fucking gun, you got another thing coming, okay? I have had it. I am losing it, and if I have to do this to fucking end this, then I will fucking do it. You understand me?
Pulled the trigger to protect Jay, brother. Got a guy I don't know standing there, looking at me. Face I recognize. Somebody I know is dead. It's weird. Guy saying weird shit to me, looking like he's gonna kill me. I pull the trigger to put him down. Guy disappears like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bullet goes through Jay. You think I want to shoot this guy in the leg? The hell have I got against Jay? He's a nice guy. He cooks, he cleans his room. What the hell? I got nothing against this guy.
Why is Jay lying? Okay? I don't get that. That's what I don't understand. Why the fuck is Jay...
No. Okay, but you got to tell me. You got to give me some information. Lying about what?
I heard Jay tell the cops that someone else shot him. Not you.
Yeah, so here's the deal with that. So I don't know if you read the news, local rag, probably not missing anything. Besides the farm report, they've been talking about how my parents were murdered on their yacht 6 months ago, and the gross estate was up for grabs. Dad didn't have a will, so, I lawyered up, and then the cops really wanted to talk to me, and I had an alibi, but I didn't exactly have a great relationship with my dad. Hang on. Damn it. God, I'm losing. Hold on, I gotta switch headphones. And didn't exactly have a phenomenal relationship. Pushed me in a pool, took my eye. Do you understand? I had reasons to hurt this guy, but I didn't murder my parents. That's what I told the cops, and that's how I can go to bed at night. I didn't murder him. I don't know who did. I was home asleep. But it's very important that me and a gun are not in the same room until I am 18 and can get the hell out of here. Which is why Jay lied for me, because he's a swell guy. Look, I've seen ghosts too, and I've seen monsters, okay? I saw this thing who came in. I'm not going to stand in the kitchen waving guns around shooting people. You know me.
I don't fucking know you.
Rooming together. Yeah, come on. We've been rooming together for 6 months. What? I'm a fucking vampire. I hang from the ceiling.
Yeah. But what do I know about you? What do I know? I know what fucking laundry detergent you use. I know where you keep. I know where you keep your alcohol, and I know where I know which side of the bed you sleep on, and how you sleep, and how loudly you snore. I know that about you. I don't know what the fuck is going on in your head. I don't know what the fuck is going on in anyone's head anymore. Okay, fucking.
There's a crash of thunder The lights beyond the shore have gone down just a sliver of red and pink. And right in the middle of this conversation, there's a loud crash. You can see anyone looking out over the water can see in the distance the coming of another of these rolling storms. I want to cut away for a moment as the crash sounds to Staley, Wren, and Jay, who I think are together, like having a conversation. And Staley is trying to keep her eye on. So Jacob, can Staley see you, or are you like inside in the little hidey hole?
I think I initially started off backed up a little bit, so it was between me and them. But I've done that thing where, like, aggressively I've walked towards him. So I'm gonna let Staley decide whether or not she can see me.
I can't. I'm gonna say that I can't see him anymore.
So the three of you are together having this, just kind of waiting for the others to come back. You're conversing, and then that crash sort of shakes your body. It shakes your bones a little bit.
I would jump into Staley, like it would scare me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe we should go into the lighthouse. I mean, I don't really want to get wet. I don't think that puts a good spin on this vibe we're trying to create here. And then she'll like awkwardly like look around and like slosh the tiny bit of scotch she has in her cup, throw it back, and then like look over and say, so Jay, do you think we can get your wheelchair over there? Because if not, maybe we can find a little alcove so that we don't get rained on. What's the best for you?
Yeah, I mean, Jay will get up and get his crutches off the back of it and get up and I imagine this is one of those wheelchairs that you can like push into collapse. Just like, I think we can take care of it. I think it'll be a problem. I am going to need some help putting it somewhere though.
Yeah, sure.
My hands are a little full.
Yeah, and I'll go and like grab it and kind of like follow behind as we attempt to make our way closer to the lighthouse to not get like rained on.
All right. And what about Wren and Gigi? Are you?
I was going to say, I'm going to try to start leading him away from where I know Jacob is, but still close to the lighthouse so that we can go inside if we need to.
So, yeah. And I think imagine this lighthouse like a little shed on one side, just out on one side of it. And that's where Jacob went into that shed with Merrill. And then the door is on the opposite side of the lighthouse. So you start leading Jay over there. What about Wren and Gigi? Are you also, as the storm starts to approach and sun's setting, are you also following Staley to the lighthouse?
I think Gigi had taken that scotch that Merrill was like throwing around. I'm imagining it's in red solo cups in my head. Yes. And she's kind of taking it for a walk down the beach, and she was picking up, I think, shells and like things like that, and just having like a moment to think and deal with the funeral. And then the second that thunder kicks in, I think she just drops the scotch, totally spooked, and runs to the lighthouse. But then she remembers, don't litter on the beach, and she turns back and she's chasing this red solo cup along the beach as it's blown by the wind. And it goes out, I think, onto the sea, which is like swelling, and she's watching it go away, and she's like, I could go away. I could jump into the sea and swim far, far away. And then I think she'll hear the talking and be like, oh yeah, I should get inside. Wren and everyone's here. And then she'll be like making her way to the lighthouse, and that's kind of what she was doing as all of the chaos was going off at the lighthouse. And she kind of turns up as Jay's got his wheelchair all folded, and she'll kind of grab Wren on the way and suggest they should get inside.
All right. And the lighthouse is unlocked. You can get in through the front door. The walls inside the lighthouse constantly groan against the wind, drowning the sound of crashing ocean waves outside. There's an old wooden tourism sign that has fallen down here at the bottom of the lighthouse. And there's a set of locked chains that discourage the climbing of rickety stairs that spiral up all the way to the top, the platform of the lighthouse. A lot of machinery along the walls and along the center of this spiral. You enter, the four of you enter into the lighthouse. You can hear another one of those crashes in the distance, another sounding of the storm. And it's dark in here. Did any of you bring a flashlight?
No, we were at a funeral.
Yeah, nope, no flashlight.
So the only light is the light
Anyone got
that's
their
spilling
phone on
in.
them?
That's true. Does anybody have their
Gigi,
phone?
I don't think has her phone yet. Still.
I
I think Staley has like her Zune, because Staley uses a Zune. So I think she'd have like at least that to like click on and put in like on the floor, like on a rock or something, to try and illuminate it upward. But that would, like, every 30 seconds you'd have to press the button. So I don't know how much it works, but at least it's something.
It's something. Okay, so you, Staley, you pointed upwards and you're projecting light, and you can see just a little bit of mostly the silhouette of the stairs and the machinery spiral in the center of this lighthouse. Roll me a smarts check. Okay. We're still at -2 for now on our dice.
Okay. Oh, snake eyes.
Staley, it's really difficult for you to see all the way up at the top. You can see the light from the windows coming in through the windows the last bit of day, but there's a missing portion of shadow in between your light and the light above. But you hear what sounds like Jacob and Merrill having an argument at the top of the lighthouse, and platform at the top of the lighthouse. Their like voices kind of hushed, but it sounds like an argument.
I think she'll just let it play out. Like, she'll hear it, but kind of just be like, I'm not going to infiltrate on this moment unless she hears someone like scream or something. So I think she's just going to try and keep on keeping on with the group and like try to keep the vibe going and the small talk rolling, because it doesn't seem like anybody wants to be here, but we're trying our very hardest to be okay. So I think she would just like start asking questions or just like bringing up random conversation topics.
Is anybody else doing anything inside the lighthouse? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, Jay's just gonna find a place to sit down, so he's not having to stand on his legs. Maybe like I don't know what's in the base here. Is there anywhere to sit other than the very dangerous looking stairs?
There's like a check-in desk, right? That it's scattered with papers from previous tours, maybe today, maybe previous days, and a little chair there too. But I mean, like this is a shoddy affair. This tour is not a very good tour. There's one person who works it, and they only do it in the summertime. But there is a chair there. Yes.
He'll sit in the chair and lean his crutches against the desk, and they're taking a long time to get Jacob's stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, Jacob has been dealing with a lot, so maybe they're just talking. Nobody's screaming, and we haven't heard anything, so I'm just assuming maybe it's just guy talk and they just need a moment.
Let's cut back to the shed in the back of the lighthouse as they're gathered inside. That lightning crashed right in the middle of your argument, right as Jacob is saying, basically, I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about you. And then a crash, and he's got the shotgun in his hands. What happens next?
Do you flinch? How spooked is he by this lightning?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Merrill's special trait is quickness, and I'd like to, in the confusion and the loud crash, he stays pretty ice cold, sidesteps the shotgun, and braces Jacob. And I want to get in his ear. And with the old heel toe, I like pivot around you. If I can pass a roll, I'm sure you make me roll for it. But I want to try to pivot around him and get him.
So if the idea here, if there's a conflict between characters like this, it's a roll for the person initiating the conflict. This is a desperate roll. Jacob has in his hands a shotgun. Whether he means to shoot or not, things happen. I'll say quickness, but you need to roll a 5 or above, and right now you have -2 to your dice pool.
Oh, brother, man, I got 2 6s and a 5.
All right. So you get to name a truth.
Oh, man, I just Batman this guy, hardcore. Crash!
So you just,
and I'm
so you
out of
just
the way.
get him?
I just get him. I'm not there. He looks around. I'm behind him. And I got just enough Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu YouTube videos to, Merrill's had to get a guy around the neck, by the way, before, who didn't want to get got around the neck. And so we're not talking about, Batman level here, but we are, I got 2 6s and a 5, so what's good? So, but I don't choke him out. I just get right in his ear, and I just start talking to him. But I've got you by the neck. You're not going anywhere. And I got maybe my other arm under your trigger arm, and I'm like, here we go, bud. Roommates, brothers. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to shoot anybody. I'm just a guy with dead parents trying to survive. You don't need to have a come to Jesus with me. I'm here to help you. You need something? I'll get it for you. I love everybody.
How's Jacob reacting in this moment?
He can't fight this guy. Like, he can't fight his way out of the headlock. No, Jacob has that predatory moment where he knows he's not strong enough, and he doesn't know self-defense or anything like that, and he has a gun, but he can't bring the gun round. So he just has a moment of sheer panic, and then I feel like here's something inside the lighthouse. Maybe just it's the slight scrape of the chair as Jay sits down, and he thinks to himself, he remembers that his friends are here. And everything the Merrill said just creeps him out, and he's paranoid and freaked out. So he lets go of the shotgun. It will clatter to the ground, scuffing the wood and a little bit. And I want to take my boot, plant it against the shed, and I want to push us both back, knowing the cliff's behind us. That's my fight or flight, freaking the fuck out. You've got me in a headlock, dude. You got me in a headlock.
Mine is a message of love.
roll me a grit. This is a desperate action. This is a desperate check. So you need to roll a 5 or above, and you're at -2 for your dice pool right now.
That's your ass.
Yep. Nope. That is a. That is a 1. What happens, Don?
Here's the truth. You drop the shotgun and then push back. When the shotgun hits the ground, it goes off. There's an extreme sound that resounds through the shed and through the lighthouse nearby. And you push back, and both of you go tumbling back towards the cliff. The part of the cliff that you hit that you trip over, Merrill. It's not the part of the cliff that would send you sprawling down to your deaths, but you both roll and roll and roll down to the rocky shore below. Meanwhile, everyone inside the lighthouse, there is a blast that goes through the wall. It actually punches through the lighthouse and some of it comes in. You hear the shotgun blast. It echoes throughout the entire chamber. And at that moment, right as your ears are ringing, the lights from the lighthouse above you go on and the siren begins to sound. And when you're this close to it, it is deafening. You can't hear anything else besides it.
I
So
am
start with the
immediately
group inside.
I'm immediately running outside. No questions asked. I am immediately going to run out the door and around to where I saw them walk to.
I think Jay will just yell, "Stay! What in? What?"
I think
Jay will look around to make sure that no one got shot in this moment.
Nobody got shot, but you cannot communicate with words right now with each other. That's how loud this siren is.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gigi would check Wren, who she would have stayed close to coming into this room, but she's yelling even though she can't hear herself, let alone anyone else. It's like, did we just get struck by lightning? She doesn't know that was a shot. As far as she knows, it was lightning hitting because we've got this thunder and storm going on, and she's checking Wren's okay, and then she sees Staley leave, and she's kind of pointing for Wren to go to Jay so that she can go after Staley.
I'm covering my ears and I'm just looking at her with sheer panic, and I see her point at Jay and I see her leave and I look at Jay and I just follow Gigi.
Jay sees Wren go out and Jay's just like, and Jay gets his crutches out and starts hobbling after everyone else out of the lighthouse.
Jay, roll me smarts.
Okay. -2.
-2. You just need a 4 or above on this one. Before you leave, as you're standing up from the desk to go chase them outside, you see on the desk next to you something you didn't notice before. You didn't see it. Maybe it had to have been there. It's an old, dusty leather book, thick. No title, no author.
I tuck it under my. It's a book. Jay likes books. Jay will tuck it under his like sort of his shoulder, and rush after Wren.
So Staley, you run outside first. I think even as the two fellas, Merrill and Jacob, are falling down, and as you run outside, just with the last bits of light, you can still hear that siren's incredibly loud. The light spins around like it does, and you know from experience it usually shoots towards the orphanage or towards the church. But this time, the beacon stops and it's shining down right towards the shore, right where you all had gathered briefly before, about 200 yards away. And even if you look for Merrill and Jacob, it draws your attention there first and foremost because there's a figure standing on that shore illuminated by the beacon, wearing a tattered raincoat, showing burned skin that's illuminated by the lighthouse light. And the figure has what looks like a gross grocery bag, a plastic bag, over its head. And it's just staring out from the shore towards the ocean. It's close enough that you can see that there's holes cut out where the eyes would be for a person. And as you see this illuminated, you see something splash up from the water. Something rises from the water large, and then crashes back down into the water and sends a wave to shore.
Staley stops dead in her tracks and is just like, I assume she stayed close to the side of the lighthouse while walking, so she knew where she was going since it was kind of dark. And I think she just kind of like puts her back and spreads her arms out on the side of the lighthouse wall, and literally like struck with fear down to her core, I think she just tries to get low and like almost sink away so that this thing doesn't see her, because she doesn't know what to do and she doesn't feel comfortable moving anymore. So she's staying put for the time being.
The figure on the shore, as Wren and Gigi run out of the lighthouse following you, reaches up and pulls that bag up off of his head, and you can see the burn-scarred face. You recognize the figure as the same figure, Old Man McGinty, that chased you through the woods. And the siren stops, but the light stays on. You can hear him howling out to the waves. You can hear his words. Talk. 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 And then he turns directly towards the lighthouse. And Wren and Gigi, you see this figure too. What do you do?
I stop dead in my tracks and I grab Gigi's hand and I turn away so I don't look at it.
And I think much like Staley and Wren, Gigi also stops in her tracks, but she looks for Staley. She sees this figure, this menacing figure. She's back in the hospital. She knows this guy is going to grab her. That's her truth in her head at this moment. And she's looking for Staley so that she can get Staley. And she just plans to drag everyone who's connected to her away and into the woods. That's what she's thinking is flight, but she wants to grab Staley first.
Jacob and Merrill, as you hit the ground, rolling all the way down this hill to the shore, you can hear the siren of the lighthouse. You see something too, even as you're on the ground together, push up and crash down into the water. A wave washes over the shore and splashes over the two of you. You're still wrapped up. What happens in this moment for the two of you?
Jacob's gone completely, like, he's lost all attention, because in Jacob's mind, that gun wasn't loaded. But he spent like 3 days drunk in the attic with it. And I guess at some point he loaded it and just doesn't remember and realizes he almost shot Merrill. And so he everything's just gone from his body, like all energy, adrenaline. He's just like, he's like shaking and freaked out.
And Merrill?
Yeah. And Merrill, you're saying we're maybe I'm a few feet away, and is the spotlight still fixed?
I would say this is about the moment where the spotlight is fixed on the figure. If you were to look back up, not far away from you, you would see this figure pull the bag off of his head, howl, call out to the shore, and then turn and look towards the lighthouse. Not at you.
All right, I'm looking at this guy. Yeah. Go.
I look at Merrill and I say, "Oh fuck, that's him. That's fucking him. That's him."
Is that our man? Right there?
And I'm gonna get up and run and run for the gun.
Here we go, brother. We're gonna take that hill. Here we go. I'll go high. You go low. We go right at him.
All right. here's what happens as the four of you leaving the lighthouse come out together. Staley, her back pushed up against the others, Wren and Gigi wrapped up, and I think Jay coming out, tucking the book in just after. Once the figure turns and looks towards the lighthouse, pulls the bag back over his head, you can see in the light of the lighthouse that it's breathing because air pushes out from the bag and then sucks in towards its lips, tightening around its head, and then out and in. And then the figure bends down and grabs something up off of the ground. And you see it raise that same fire axe as before. And just like before, Staley, it begins to run. Not fast, but steadily. And as it runs towards the lighthouse, it's swinging the axe back and forth and back and forth. I'm going to allow, to begin with, and we have now clicked over to our final time frame. So this is the next person to fail. Something happens. I want to know, and it's whoever answers me first, who's faster to get to McGinty or to get to the gun, Merrill or Jacob?
Based on what we think, or some sort of score?
I think it's you because you spoke first.
What's that, Josh?
I said odds you evens me, and I rolled a 2, so evens is me. So I say I get to it first.
You get to the shotgun while Merrill is running up. And Merrill, describe how you're charging this figure as it's running.
His shoulders are low, knees are high. I grab a rock about the size of a brick as I'm making my way up. I'm going to break this guy's head. And I just try to stay low out of the light as much as I can, and I'm just going to rush him and brick this dude over the back of the head with a rock.
All right. Jacob, you get to the shotgun before he gets to the figure. You push out of the room. You can see Merrill running towards the figure swinging the axe back and forth, twisting its mouth, calling out into the night. You could take your shot, but it's a far shot for a shotgun.
I pick it up, and not trying to hide it, I run round and find Staley and the others standing there. And like I was about to run to find them, because the last time I saw them, they're over there. I come round and I've got like, I am carrying it in my hand openly, and I'm going to level it towards him and just do like a head count to make sure that they're okay and like see where everyone is.
So you all, let's go to the group, the four of you, right? This is happening in the span of just a couple of seconds. And all of a sudden, Jacob reappears on the side with Staley and Wren and Gigi and Jay, and he's got a shotgun in his hands. What's everybody doing here? Are you staying put? What are you doing?
I'm frozen with fear. Like, I can't move.
I will go to try and help Merrill.
What about Staley?
Staley is going to stay put unless Jacob starts charging the figure. And if Jacob starts charging the figure, she's going to run after him. She's going to run after him and Merrill to charge after the figure as well.
What about Gigi?
Can someone tell me what just happened? Because I didn't hear. I have no idea what just happened.
So Merrill's charging the figure as it charges your group. And Jacob is going after to help Merrill, and Staley is going after to help Jacob, and it's you and Wren and Jay together right outside the lighthouse. The figure is running towards you, and it seems like the beacon light that was locked on it is following it like a spotlight.
I think seeing the charge essentially, and kind of seeing Jay's right there and Wren's here, but seeing the charge and knowing she's fast and she's feeling very done, I think she's going to start charging at the figure too, because apparently this is what we're doing. And she is quick because she's an athlete, more of a swimmer than a runner, but Baywatch across the beach towards the axemen, because that's the sensible thing to do at the end of a night.
What about Jay?
Yeah, what is Jay? Jay's hobbling. Has Jay seen this yet? Because he was a little bit behind everyone else.
I think it took you a moment to really see it because you came out from the lighthouse last. But now that the figure is running with an axe, swinging it through the air towards you, yeah, you see it. It's a burn scarred man. Arm. The rain cloak is tattered and just flapping in the wind. All the clothes beneath are burned off to a crisp, and there's that plastic bag over his face, and as he breathes, it pushes out and back in, sucking into his lips, tightening over his face, out and in.
All right, Jay's first instinct is to run, and he's just what? And he's just gonna turn around and run away from this thing. That's his first instinct.
You running towards the orphanage?
The orphanage is a little ways away, though. Yeah, at this point.
Besides
besides
the lighthouse, it's the closest building, but you do have to go through some of the woods.
And he can't get back to the lighthouse, or would it be easier to get back to the lighthouse?
You can go into the lighthouse if you want. The figure's running towards you right now, but you could go into the lighthouse if you want.
Yeah, I mean that's the closest shelter. Like that thing's got a door on it. Like, running back to the lighthouse.
And Wren is frozen in fear outside of the lighthouse, having been left alone as everyone else goes off in different directions.
All of her brothers and sisters charging a ghost man with an axe. Just watching.
If Jay is going to pass Wren on the way back, Jay is going to try and push and herd Wren back into the lighthouse.
I think that she just like kind of falls over and like is like down in the sand and just like can't stop watching, can't move, like doesn't even register that Jay is the one that knocked her over.
Does Jay try to drag her, or does he leave her there?
Oh my god.
I mean,
I don't think Jay tries to pull her.
Dude, I like ran out on you.
Yeah, I think that Jay does not, like, if she's not gonna try to get there on her own, he's not gonna pull her with him right now. Like he's just like full self-preservation mode.
Do you close the door behind you?
If Mr. McGinty's on my tail, yes, I do.
Merrill, roll me grit. This is a desperate roll. You have -3 to your dice pool right now. So whatever your grit is, -3.
Throwing rocks tonight, literally and figuratively. I got a 6 and a 5.
All right, so you get to name one truth here as you reach this figure first, as it's chasing and swinging. You come at it with a rock.
As I close the distance, I see the garbage bag in the light, and I'm right behind him. Is the siren still going?
The siren has stopped, but the light is still on, and the light is moving.
I get a little closer to him, and I'm right behind him, and I shout, Say, man, you know where they keep the black olives? See if I can get him to turn around.
Yeah, he doesn't stop, but his head turns. As a matter of fact, it turns all the way. You can see what are his eye holes in this little plastic gross grocery bag turn towards you, breathing in and out. What do you do?
Just wind up beautifully and beam this bastard right between the eyes with this rock. And it's a beautiful, true pitch. And then when he's doubled back, I want to rush him and I want to break this guy's nose. Quick as I can.
You strike him in the head with a rock, and you can see some liquid. It can't tell if it's blood. It looks darker than blood. Splash up and stain the inside of this plastic bag. He stumbles back. Jacob, you're next to reach him because you had a head start.
As he turns, I want to take the extra 2 steps to ensure that I'm not aimed, and I'll take the steps inland. So, like, I'm aimed at him and to the sea. And, like, there's, like, a really weird moment for a second where Jacob is just like, this is weird. Like, he has a perfectly clarified, like, clear moment in his head where he's just like, this is a really weird day. And realizes that guy has an axe and is going for Merrill, and is surprised with how protective he suddenly feels over Merrill, who he just threatened with the same gun, and almost shot and stuff like that. And as he's thinking that, he feels the recoil and realizes he's already pulled the trigger. Like, just his body has done it almost automatically without his head is completely in a different situation. But Jacob and his dad only have 2 bonding hobbies they've ever done. One of them is listening to music, and the other is shooting. It's the only thing his dad ever taught him to do. So he knows how to usually handle this sort of thing. So I would like to just empty the second barrel into this guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, because he was stunned and coming, like, stumbling back towards you, I'm not going to make you roll for that. You shoot him in the back, and he goes flying forward. His head slams down into the rocks. And you can all hear the resounding explosion of that shotgun. I think Gigi and Staley probably are arriving next, right?
Yeah, I would assume that we would probably reach the bottom of where they fell by the time that they get over there. And I think as soon as Staley hears the gun, she's just gonna like fall to her knees and like almost go into the fetal position, because she thinks that somebody just got shot and she doesn't want to see it. She's too afraid to look.
Gigi.
I think Gigi is just carrying, because we were going downhill, she's just carrying momentum to get there. She doesn't know what's happened, but she just keeps going, because she doesn't want someone else to die because she didn't keep going. So she's just running to find out what happened, to help, to do something.
You're there right over Jacob's shoulder. He's got the gun. You see Merrill there, I think, holding a rock. You see this figure face down, with a hole through its back.
I think she would try and surge forward to get that axe away from him, to get the weapon away from the person that was attacking them.
As you rush forward, as you reach for that axe, the head snaps up, the body sits up and rolls over, and that mask, those eyes in the plastic bag are staring straight at you, Gigi. Do you go for the axe?
Yeah, because she doesn't want her hair pulled again. Because if she gets the axe, then he can't hit her with the axe. She's just like, there's a weapon here, and I don't want it used against me. So it's like the eyes meet, and then it's like the hand goes flying out to grab that weapon.
Right as you go to grab that weapon, there's another crash from the ocean. You can see a large dark shape come up out of the water. It looks vaguely something like a crab claw, a massive appendage, and splash back into the ocean again, and another wave rolls forward towards you. Make me a desperate quickness roll. You have -3 to this roll because of the hour. You need a 5 or above.
2 dice, because this is Gigi's best stat. I rolled a 6 and a 1. I rolled the best and the worst.
You get to name one truth.
I just had such a journey. I saw the one first. So her hand shoots out and she grabs onto the handle, but he's still got the handle, and it's great being really quick and grabbing it, but he is probably stronger than her, and the rocks that they're on are slippy, and that wave comes down, and I think the light from the lighthouse flickers, the same as it had in the hospital at the beginning, and it's a confusing second as to like what happens.
And you get your hand on the axe before he's able to swing it, and as that wave crashes into you, I'm going to add and say that the axe slips out of his hand, and as he's standing up, he's actually pulled a few feet towards the water, just a few feet away from you, and you find yourself now, Gigi, with this axe in your hand. But he's standing up to his full height. You can see just that, again, that plastic. Breathe in, breathe out, suck in. And he starts stepping, not running now, just stepping 1 foot after another on the rocks towards you.
Can I add a tiny truth before we move to the next person?
Sure.
So in Gigi's head, she's 5 years old, and her dad has just given him his bat from high school, and he's like coaching her through how to swing a bat. And in her head, this axe is now a bat, and she's like preparing to swing it as hard as she physically can. And it's just like eyes on the ball, just constantly. His head is now a giant baseball, and that's where Gigi's at, like, as she's there with this axe.
I want to move to Wren, who's on the ground outside of the lighthouse. Frozen in fear, you hear the gunshot. Wren, you see this figure go down, you see Gigi run, and then you see it get back up, and you see Gigi fighting with it. And she gets the axe, and it washes away and starts to stand up. How's Wren reacting right now?
I think that she's had a second to take in what has happened not long. She's just so full of adrenaline, but I think she just screams like Gigi and will like get up and like run for her, because she sees her like best friend, her sister, like wrestling with this zombie guy with a bag on his head, and now she's holding an axe and she's just a kid.
What's her plan when she gets there?
She doesn't have one. She's just gonna run towards her.
As you start running, it takes you a moment to get past your paralysis, and you get up and you start running towards the rest of them. That lighthouse flickers. The light from the lighthouse flickers off for a moment. You can't see anything, and then back on. You can see them again, but you also see off to your left, along that shore, Miss Toothaker, dressed just like she was dressed for Gigi's birthday party. And she's looking at you, and she's smiling reassuringly, reaching her arms for you, Wren. She's just at the edge of the light.
She can't stop. Like, she can't slow down enough. Like, she looks at her as she's running past and like has the thought of like, oh my god, wait, she's dead. And like she just keeps running towards Gigi, who she sees like in trouble.
All right. Let's go to Ray for a second, and then we'll go to Jay. Ray, are you doing anything after Gigi jumps into the fray and gets the axe?
I
Or
think
Staley? Is Staley doing anything?
Staley would like still be kind of on the sand, on her knees, staring at the fray, kind of just waiting to see what happens next. I think she's more so playing defense right now and trying to be like, okay, well, if he starts running, maybe there's something I could do. Or yeah, she's staying put where she is, but definitely keep an eye on every part of the situation as much as possible to figure out what the best course of action is.
All right. And Jay, you slam the door shut, and it's a few moments there in the dark. Does Jay have any form of light inside the lighthouse?
Oh God. No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think Jay has a phone. I mean, phones are kind of expensive, and he's been saving up. Like phone plans themselves are expensive. I don't think you can get a cheap flip phone, but phone plans are expensive. So I don't think he has a phone. He doesn't have a flashlight on him. He doesn't really have much on him other than the pen he always keeps on him. So yeah, no, he doesn't have a light source.
You hear the shotgun go off outside. You hear more cries, more sounds. Nobody's opened up the door. It's just you in the dark. Does Jay stay there?
Yeah, can Jay feel his way along to where he's pretty sure the stairs are?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can feel there's some chains there. So you'd have to you kind of have to get underneath the chains, and then you can take the stairs up. And there is just a little bit of light up to the top.
Yeah.
Jay, as what's happening out beyond happens, you reach the top of the stairs, and up at the top of the lighthouse, this rickety lighthouse, there's a series of windows. One set of windows has been shattered entirely, so the wind is actually coming in here, and it's very cold. There's a central beacon, a light. It's this great light with a series of mirrors surrounding it, encased with more glass. Many, many large mirrors. And right as you get to the top, the light flickers and then goes back off. What's Jay doing as he gets to the top?
Jay was going to try and see if he could get advantage of what's going on in the down below. And you said the light goes off at that.
It flickers off and then comes back on, and flickers off and comes back on. And you're trying to look out to see what's happening down beyond.
Yeah.
Roll me a smarts check.
All right. -3.
And this is a desperate roll.
Oh. No. 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 Nope.
As the group outside struggles with a figure that keeps coming, Jay, you reach alone the top of the lighthouse, climbing this rickety set of stairs. The lights go on, the lights go off, and you look out beyond, and then the lights go off again. And there's just enough light here through the glass that you can see that when it's dark, you're not alone. There are dozens of individuals up here with you. They look like they're dressed in old pilgrim clothes with pale faces. When you turn around, you see them in the mirrors, even more of them, but they're surrounding you on all sides. And the lights come back on and they're gone. And then they go back off, and all of their arms are wrapped around you a writhing mass of bodies in the dark. And that's where our story ends tonight.
Oh my god.
All right, we have overrun, so unfortunately we're going to do a quick wrap tonight, but if you want to see us screaming, I will be over in Discord screaming for like the next 15 minutes. So
Same.
please do pop over, check out the Discord. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much for staying to the end. We appreciate you. Please like, please subscribe, and please leave us a comment about how fucked up this is, because it really is. Let's begin with the wonderful Travis, who plays Merrill. How are you doing, friend?
And we didn't come here for a kiss on the cheek, bud. We're gonna go down to the bottom. We're gonna see the devil. It's gonna be good times. Don's the man. And this was a pip. I wrote down my favorite line. Josh going, I don't want to talk to you, Don. It was earlier. Yeah, you didn't want to
Throw
talk
this
to
to
you.
Staley. I just don't want to talk to you anymore, Don.
I just don't want to talk to the DM anymore. I'd like for him to talk to someone else now. It's great. It's a good strategy. There's nothing wrong with it. This is awesome. Josh, you're the man. I love the scene. I love how anybody who throws gasoline on the situation is all right by me. And that was exactly how I wanted. I loved how certain things were revealed, and I knew that conversation was going to happen with somebody at some point. I'm glad it was Josh. It was awesome. This was great. I can't wait for next week. Listen, everybody take care of each other. Everybody wash your hands. Everybody be safe, and be careful out there. I appreciate everybody watching, and Charlie and Don, thank you for this. And I'm going to hit a guy. I'm going to murder a guy with a rock next week. It's going to be good times. I'll see you then.
And Lydia, how you doing, friend?
I'm doing good until Travis just pointed out I should be washing my hands. I realize how much I've been touching my face tonight.
It's
In
all right.
horror.
Your hands are clean. You're fine.
I'll be fine. My favorite part was getting to take care of poor baby Jacob on the floor and put a little kitty in his hands. That was sweet. I love that cat. I'll keep it short. I'll just end it there. This was so much fun. Don, oh my God, you're a scary, scary guy.
And I almost said Jay. Tommy, how you doing, friend?
I'm not good. I'm not good at all. No. No. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was hard. It was hard for me to put Jay going up that tower, but I was like, because like me personally, I was like, that's something bad is gonna happen at the top of the tower. And I was like, well, what is Jay gonna do? Also, Jay leaving Wren behind was also a hard thing for me personally to do, but it's what Jay would do. So it was just like, but great session as always. I'm Imperator Penguin on the Twitter sphere. I do tabletop RPG stuff. Follow me there for when and where I will be live.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Josh, how you doing, friend?
It's all crazy. I'm just a crazy guy who got the gun until, you know what? We really need guns and stuff. Like, gee, oh God, like so much about this episode scared the shit out of me, and it was beautiful. And thank you so much. I know Travis has to run off, but so much to Travis for letting me just completely break down, and Staley as well. In fact, I thank you all. I've done a lot of getting very emotional and freaked out this episode, and I feel like I've earned that with how Don has treated me. Screw you, Don. You're a terrible person. You can find me on the Twitters at roleplayers_TV, where I will update you where I'm going to be. Okay, bye.
And a massive thank you to Tia for the raid during the end of Star Trek, so we could have you all hanging out with us today. And thank you everyone who has stuck through for the full 6 hours. Ray, how are you doing, friend? I'm pointing up at you if you're on that side. There we go. You're muted. Oh dear. Tuck, 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 tuck. No, it is not working right now.
Nope, we just heard your laugh. So whatever
All
you
right,
did,
no. Oh. No. All right, Ray, mime us your outro while we go and say hi, Don. How you doing, friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. I had a lot of fun tonight. We went late, but we had all that really great role play, like with all the characters talking to each other and just kind of processing everything that's happened. It needed to happen. That was really important stuff. So I really enjoyed letting that breathe. Next week, we'll resolve what's going on right now, so it should start off with a bang. And then we have something special planned for the rest of the session next week too. Should I tell them, Charlie? Should I tell them, or should it be a surprise?
No, they should come back here next week on Friday to find out what special surprises Don has. And we did hit 5 subs today, so we will be doing another Twitter poll in the week to add. Twitter voted, we got The Shining, and here's McGinty with an axe. Please do go and check out With a Brick, which is Ray's Twitter, where she's got all of the information about what she's up to listed. And it's well worth checking out. Please check out all of these people. Check out our YouTube if you're looking for something to binge this weekend. We have a whole host of things. If you want to see Don doing terrible things as a player, go and watch one of our cooler Cthulhu's. I highly recommend The Masks of Nyarlathotep. It's a very good series with wonderful plans by great people that are not totally insane. Okay, that's a lie. They're totally insane. We will see you on Monday when we are back with The Crownlands. It is at 3 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. UK. Have a great weekend. Look after yourselves. Take care. Try not to fail your rolls because it gets a bit darker when you do. Good night, everyone.